All right, folks, it's time for Mullins Music and Memories. Just finished a great show on the radio show with Mark Lee, where I had the pleasure of talking to a stroke survivor, and definitely Joanne Glenn was a truly great and amazing guest that shared a lot of knowledge about things that were going on in her life, things that were happening with what she's got going on in her world, and all of that. So we're always having a fantastic guest from around the world, and I've got some amazing guests that are getting ready to join me here also. So definitely become good friends with Eric, and Eric Delote has had some great things going on in his world. As a matter of fact, he's written some truly fantastic books, including a book that he's got out and has been out for a while. It was actually out during the Trump era. And that was the book that he wrote called Trump, the Colossal Poison, and all of that. So Eric wrote that, Eric Delote. And of course, he's been a guest on my show a number of times, and it always has some great conversations going on when he comes in and all of that. But I know he's been doing some amazing interviews with some amazing folks, and he knows that I am definitely in that same space. I've been doing journalism for a number of years. Folks had a radio station when I was a preteen, and now I'm in my late 50s and still involved in this space of media and all of that. So I see some people that are coming in, and they're going to share what they've got going on in their world. And that was some of the folks that definitely were recommended by Eric and recommended by having a great story and all of that. So I think I've got two of them on right now, and some more may be joining as well. They've been having some things going on with bandwidth and other things that always happens when you have people watching from other parts of the world and all of that. But I'm going to bring in Sergey Gagalev, as well as Sylvia that'll be coming in as well. And then we've also got Carletta coming in also, and a number of other things. Also, I think we got Alexandria going to join us as well. So definitely some great things going on in the world, and definitely always glad to have amazing guests on the show. I know when Eric was telling me about y'all and what y'all have been involved in, it was truly something that caught my eyes, because I'm always big on inventions. As a matter of fact, my dad considers himself to be somewhat of a tinkerer and does some different kinds of things and all of that. As a matter of fact, he even though I have no kids of my own, I have two nephews that are now in the ages of 12 and 13. August is their birth month, so they were definitely born and are definitely in that space of now being 12 and 13. And I remember when they were little people, even as infants, my dad was showing them science projects and what Mother Nature had going on and a number of other things. And I know that there has always been this discussion around whether you should even do that with young people, because some people will argue that it's much too early to try to get them engaged. But I actually disagree with that philosophy. And I know that my dad disagrees with it as well. I think that a lot of times some of the truly amazing folks you can learn at even when they're in the wombs of the mother and all of that. Because we've even heard of people that had their skills developed even in music and other forms of creativity when they were not even out into the earth realm and all of that. They were still being developed as young people and all of that. So glad to have all of you amazing folks on with me and to share y'all story, because as I understand from Eric, y'all have been working on some truly amazing projects and doing some great work in that regard. So definitely always great to have some amazing folks come on and share their words of wisdom, their words of thoughts, and all of that. So if you would definitely share a little bit with us about this great project that you have going on, where you're going to be talking about even the acoustic timbers and things along those lines. And I actually do have the video that I may pull up as well. But I'd love to hear some of the things that y'all are involved in and some of the ways of your own philosophies, because just to put it in an initial context, one of the things that one of our founders of this particular network talks about is that he feels that as a society, and he's particularly talking about the United States society and the North American society, we spend too much time not teaching people about things that they should have knowledge of at an early age. His favorite quote that he's brought on this show several times is that we use a 21st, we are clearly in the 21st century, but we have an 18th century attitude toward education. So therefore, he feels that we're not teaching enough about STEM projects. We're not teaching enough about financial literacy. We're not teaching enough about a number of other things that are out there in society that we probably should be reflectively teaching. So I guess I'll start with you, Sergey, and maybe if anybody else wants to jump in, is that something that you actually agree with? Because I know that that's something that he oftentimes will bring up into his conversations, the fact that we're not doing enough to encourage our young people, even as they develop their great skills.
Uh, Hello. I'm
Hey, how
sorry.
you doing,
I'm
Sergi?
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. I'd like to continue as you speak English, but I'm sorry. I'm a bit slower.
No, no problem.
Okay. Yeah. It's about EcoHype idea. It was not so. It was named not EcoHype before uh, uh, February of this year. Before it was acoustic hybrid piano. It's
Mm.
about a piano with two acoustic timbres, different acoustic timbres. And this idea was born some 2 years ago. I tuned piano at home, as was ordered me one music school, as a theater school, tune piano as old piano. And it was a curious experience for me, because I was confused with this order, how it was like how it could be tune piano, and the result we have tuned out piano. So as I had an experience with tune pipes, organs, and harmoniums, I know about parallel tuning that has some registers of that music instruments, and I tuned it in 4 hertz difference of the level of tuning in every note in the piano, and it got out a very interesting timbre that I recorded to my phone, and I was very happy about these recordings. I showed it to the friends, and it sounds really interesting. Then, when I tuned it at home, I invited Fyodor Veselov, the pianist, Russian pianist that is living in Barcelona, and Fyodor further said me, Sergey, it's something interesting. I can't stop it. I like it. And when we made some recordings, then we spoke about it. We decided that it's good to present it to the public and organize one small concert with such type of tuning.
Well,
Then we
it's very fascinating. I've got friends in the musical field, and they're always looking for new and innovative ways to get their music out there. And definitely, even as you were talking about how you got this project going and everything, how did you ladies get involved? And can you share a little bit about y'all's role in the project as well? And then, like I said, I am going to bring up the one of the samples that Sergi sent. But I guess I'll start with you, Miss Sylvia. How did you get involved?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for having us. Well, I am Silvia Gámez Dubos. I live actually in the United States. I am in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am one of the directors and organizers of the Arstotzka International Music Festival. But from the festival, through the festival, we met Sergey and his wonderful project. And we are here just to support this amazing project as institution. And our role, my role here is to represent the system in the United States. And for example, schedule talks, events, or concerts as a part of the introduction of the EcoHype.
Gotcha. And what about yourself, Carletta? How did you get involved and everything? So what was your role with Sergi in terms of getting involved with the project? Don't hear you.
I work with the association because we have the musical.
Something's with your computer. I'm not hearing you. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. No, still don't hear you. Mm-mm. Sometimes you have to unplug the. It does happen sometimes. Are you on headset? Because I'm not hearing you at all. While I'm waiting, Alexandria, let's see.
Hello,
I hear
I
you.
am sorry, my English is not very good. I
Okay.
am I am director of Ardocta, the second director of Ardocta. I am pianist. I love to Paris. My language is the French. Now I'm sorry for my bad English, but I am very happy with the news of the Akuhype
Hello?
piano recording
Yes.
and Akuhype system, because I am a pianist and when I play with Akuhype in the new system, it's very important because I have the possibility, two possibilities different. One, the traditional piano, another piano with Akuhype. This is impossibility for play the music, the past, the old music, and the new music, contemporary music. I think this invention is very interesting for the piano, because the piano not change in the time. Last modification of the piano, this is the pedal tonal, because I speak a small comme pianist, sorry. The piano, this is created in a long time, 18e siècle. Alors, the piano is né in Italy, born in Italy, now a long time ago, and now before the piano, this is not perfectly. Now in the time, the piano is perfectly perfection in the your evolution, but all the time, this is an instrument and perfection, not an instrument with the change. The pedals, the Akuhype, it is in two possibilities. The piano is a new piano, two possibilities. The piano and a piano with the song, very good song, and in another possibility that the tuner is very interesting. It's absolutely new for the history in the music.
Gotcha. Appreciate you. Carlotta, I could hear you the last time and everything.
Oh
so.
yeah, sorry for that. I think yeah, there was some problem. Hello, nice to meet you, and thank you for having us. I'm Carlota, and I work with Musical Innovator, which is the association we have this project with. We have some other projects, but this one is the last one, the most exciting one for me. And I work in the part of the communication and writing and in the web.
Mhm.
And I think like what you said in the beginning is really important, because you said like we need to change a lot of the places we are right now in society, like education, music, like we need to really change like a lot of things. So I find like Akuhype is like a metaphor to in a way like express us, because it's a way to regress to the past and like I don't know, explore the music at that time, like in the beginning of the blues in the USA, right? That people were like playing with the piano, they were out of town. But it doesn't matter because it's like it's music, right? It's imperfect, but it's what it is. So it's a way to, like Alejandra said, conserve the normal piano, let's say like the piano that we have right now, but added like this amazing thing and like combining that. And for me, it's, I don't know, it's really exciting. I'm super like good to work in this project. And yeah, I think there's a lot of things that they can explain better because they are pianists and
Right.
they can, yeah.
No, Sergi, one of the things that I was curious about is I've actually worked with festivals, and I've actually worked with some of the festivals here in North Carolina, and sometimes they want a certain type of instrument. I know that a very popular instrument that oftentimes becomes a headache to get is the Hammond B3 organ. So a lot of times they'll want that sound that the Hammond provides, but you know that's not a easy instrument to move around because it's a very heavy instrument. So some of the pianos are more heavier than others. You can say the same thing about some of the other grand pianos that are out there. So will this system that you have created help people get that sound that you're talking about without necessarily having to have that big instrument moved as much as it is? Because I do know as a festival organizer, that sometimes becomes a problem as well, because you want to give a certain sound, but you don't always have the ability to move those big pianos around. And that's actually something that happens a lot with concerts, whereas the smaller instruments, the bass, the guitar, and others are easier to move. So I'm wondering, will this system help in that regards as well?
I think it was difficult to make this parallel tuning in piano. Why it was not appeared before? Because when we tune piano to with here, it's approximate. I don't know how it, to explain exact. Okay, when you tune one part of a piano, just change a level. Other part of piano change level at the same time. So you when you tune parallel tuning by here, it's get out not so beautiful. It's not exact, not parallel tuning. It's some approximately quality, not so good. And with now we have electronic pianos that we can tune it more precise, more exact. So why we can tune it with two tuners at the same time and equalize it.
Yeah.
And I think it's new for now, and we can work with this and not as it was before.
And I guess and maybe Sylvia has some thoughts about that as well, because it sounded to me like she said she had some festival organization background also. But that being said, I was wondering, because I know oftentimes in modern society, and if Carletta or anybody wants to jump in, we've seen so many people that are wanting that rich sound, wanting that like very good sound, but then there's so many ways to get it through synthesizers and through electronic ways that I find that even some of my musician friends are going more toward not the natural sound, but going more toward wanting that sound that's able to be created electronically, and therefore it's a little bit not as genuine as the sound that you get from a true piano and all of that. But I'd love to hear from any of you, Sergi, and any of the ladies, your thoughts about that, because I do know a lot of my musician friends have been going more toward the synthesizer version of music.
Yeah. First, regarding that, about what you were talking about, well, I have, for example, a festival in this place, and I cannot transport every single piano.
Right.
You have the possibility here with the AccuHive that, for example, Sergey, in this case, he is going to come to the festival and he is going to set the regular pianos with that intonation as well. But
Okay.
you are going to have the two sounds, as they says before, in only one piano. So with the help of only one pedal, you can change. So you don't need to transport every single instrument and piano to the places. If not, I mean, the tuner can come and can do the job there. You know, that this is very important. And the other thing that you were talking about as well is, yes, I mean, electronically, we can create any sound, but this is not the same. It's not the original. It is not going to sound as something genuine. And I think always musicians, I am a cello player, I am not the pianist, but I am always, for example, trying to look for the experimentation. What is the new sounds? So I think AccuHive helps to this, to create, to open your mind to new experimentation of sounds. And
Yeah,
this
that makes
is
a lot
very
of
important.
sense. Yeah. Carletta, from the social media side, and it sounds like that's part of what your whole job and role is. How are you able to get more of the common man to actually buy into what Sergi is doing, because I know that a lot of times, even as citizens and as a fan of music, and actually my folks started a radio station when I was a pre-teen, so I'm in my late 50s now, so I definitely have a great appreciation for music and all of that. But at the same time, I know that oftentimes we have a tendency to go for the quick and the fast, the things that are easier to have access to, and oftentimes we don't even get the true great music. That's one of my complaints about commercial radio, is that particularly here in the States, is that they play the same songs over and over, and we don't hear enough classical, we don't hear enough jazz, we don't hear enough of the innovative people, kind of like what Sergi is doing. So I just wondered, how are some of the ways that you're going to engage people to get them involved and wanting to be part of this process?
Well, we have a lot of, Ako Hive is one project, but for instance, we have a project called Crazy Piano Club, and it's open to whatever people want to come. So we organize concerts, and it's one concert with a normal piano and one concert with the Ako Hive, the Crazy Timbre. And it's like a lot of kids come, for instance, and they can play and improvise and try this sound. So I think we try to promote it, like opening to people that they can come and talk about it. With the conferences as well, we did like 3 presentation concerts about like what is Ako Hive, and a lot of people came, and like it was very good received. Now we are working in the web, trying to promote it and trying to find people that is interested in it. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot of work, but people is like, they really like it. So yeah, there's a good feedback at the moment.
So y'all have been getting good feedback. And have you been using some of the modern platforms? Like I know a lot of folks use Clubhouse. I know I recently got on that after the whole thing went on with letting Android users use it and all of that. But I've definitely been on that format. I know some people use Discord and a number of others, but are you finding that you're getting resonated interest from the music community with using some of those platforms, whether it's the 2 that I named, or there's YouTube, or a number of the other sources that are out there?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel that people can go and have a look to, like the concerts we do. Actually, they are all online, so whatever person that wants to go can hear it. And we are in Instagram and YouTube, in Facebook as well. We're trying to like promote on that. Actually, I wanted to say if we can put like a little extract about the sound of Ako Hive, so your guests can listen a little bit how it is.
Okay, because I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to share with you a video.
Okay,
and
you can do that on your side, and I can definitely add it over here if you have the video on your screen. Yeah, there we go. I think I see it. So let me bring that up.
To listen a little bit the sound.
Yeah, and you did hit. Yep, there we go. I like that. That's very smooth and very good and everything. So definitely it sounded a lot more clear and crisper and all of that. And definitely you can see where this innovation has truly been helping a lot of folks in that regards and everything. So I can definitely see where it could have a lot of positive senses and definitely allow folks to have a greater joy of the sound. How are you reaching out to the musicians, and how are you trying to get them? Like I said, you've got 2 here with your team that are part of your team that are part of the music, but how are you actually reaching the larger audience of musicians that are out there? So I would be curious to know the ways that you are reaching them and reaching out to them. And I actually got another musician that will be joining us very shortly, who's get in the world of music, so maybe he'd be interested in learning as well. So definitely that's George McCullough, and I'll be bringing him up very shortly as well. But definitely I'd love to hear how y'all are reaching out to different musicians. Anybody?
We work in Barcelona basically right now, because we have our association there. So all the musicians we were working with is a lot of musicians in the part of jazz and improvisation. And yeah, we were working with people in Barcelona, but as well, we're planning to do some festivals in France, in the USA. So at the moment, like we are contacted to, Sergey knows a lot of like musicians that are interested in it, right?
Cool. Who are some of the musicians that you already reached out to, and what are some of those festivals?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I was asking who are
Yeah,
some of the
I'm sorry, I
musicians
didn't
that you reached out
understand.
to?
Musicians. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I think it's I understood that it's about involved musicians. I listened before. Every day come new people. For example, by mail I receive every day letters from musicians of different parts of the world, and there are pianists, composers, organizers of the concerts, and for example, and I think this idea of Aku Hype will be spread through the world in some short time. Many people interested on it. For example, with Alexandra in France, we try to organize concerts now in the end of this year, and Sylvia wants to organize in the United States, and in Argentina, in Cordoba, there are people want to organize concerts. I think through some short time, there are much more interest and more people will be involved to the project.
I think he's trying to introduce some person, no, in the interview.
No, there are no Mark. I don't see Mark.
Sí, creo que está intentando meter a una persona que va a venir de invitado.
Okay, we will continue what we do.
Sí, podemos esperar, pero... Y Alejandra no sé dónde está tampoco.
Sí, yo creo que habría que esperar hasta que él entre nuevamente.
Sí.
You have to love technology. It always wants to not cooperate when you want it to cooperate and all of that. So that's some of the things that go on in the wonderful world of life. So you got to love technology, but we're just going to keep things rolling right along because that's just the way technology rolls and everything. So you've got to love the modern technological world and all of that. So that's just the way things go, even in the world of media. Technology does not always want to cooperate, but we're not going to let that stop us in our great conversation. While we're going, I was going to bring up, and I think one of the other people dropped off there for a second, but I do want to bring up George, who is a musician, and definitely, George, glad to have you here to join the conversation and everything. Sergi, by the way, is a gentleman that has come up with an amazing tuning invention, so that's part of what we were talking about, and I know you've got a song that deals with the ways of positivity of the way of handling this crazy pandemic that we're in, but from an artistic standpoint and all of that. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about what's going on in your musical world as well. So if you can share a little bit about what you've got going on and where you're coming at us from, because I know that you're not here in the Durham, North Carolina area where I'm at, but I'd love to hear a little bit about your things that you've got going on as well.
Oh no, thanks, Mark, for inviting me to your show, and hello to everyone there. Actually, this singer was inspired by the COVID-19 that we are all facing and the difficulties that we're experiencing, all of us. So that song was inspired by that, and also thanking God, for blessing me and everyone else through all this COVID-19. That's what this song is all about at the moment. It's still a single. I'm still working on the full album, but for now, I'm still on that single at the moment. I'm still promoting it and making sure that everyone knows about it. So far, yes.
Sounds great and everything. And definitely, that's one of the things that even on some of these other shows we've talked about is the fact of the importance of music to society and all of that. So I'm actually bring Alexandria up. I see her now as well. But we talked about the importance of music in this society and the music of even the way it's helping us get through what we're going through with COVID or a number of other things. Because there's a friend of mine likes to oftentimes say music is that great undivider. So not the great divider, but the great healer, the great thing that puts us all together. Because no matter what mood you're in, as long as it's the same kind of music, I said somebody that likes blues may not want to go to a jazz concert or vice versa, but when they're all there together, all of the things that usually divide us are gone by the wayside. Like you generally don't care what a person's sex is, what their orientation is, what their race is, as long as that music is resonating to them and everything. So the audience that's around you, all of those great divides that happen in our society go out the window, and we really don't care about them when we're enjoying that music. So music is oftentimes the great healer in society. So I'd love to hear from all of you. I guess I'll start off maybe with Georgia and also Sergi as well, the importance of music in our healing process.
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's true and correct, Mark. Because what's happening is, we are really in the stressful times, and what better way to soothe our souls than writing soulful music that goes to our souls and, make sure that, lifts the weight off our shoulders and everything. Because right now, everyone is stressed, everyone is financially stressed, and we just don't know what to do, don't know what tomorrow holds. So at least if all of us musicians, artists, we come together as in writing good music, making sure that the world comes to ease, because right now really things are really, really, really heavy and hectic out there. So I think it's our job as musicians right now to really have a big input by making sure that we write music that's relevant right now, because we really need some soulful music, spiritual music at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Sergi, what was that like for you? Because like I said, music definitely plays a role in your life, and it's a great healing tool, but also you put together this project. It's an international project, because I'm looking at your team, they're from all over the country. You're doing this in the middle of a pandemic. So how were you able to even do that during this time? I know a lot of times, like I've got a musician friend that he was actually hoping to do a concert the month that we're coming out of, but now it's been pushed back to October. But as a musician, he really wants to be there with his musician friends together, but they are having to practice and do other things separate. And of course, they prefer doing it together in the same room. And I'm sure even with this project, you would have preferred people to be together. So how are you able to pull together this amazing project in these times that we are in?
Yes.
Sorry about it. So.
Yeah, Sergi.
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking you, Sergi.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm very happy about the team that we have now with the artist doctor. We communicate about Aku Hype. We wrote wrote the contracts with presentators in Europe, in United States, in Argentina yet. So I hope it will give us a fruit very soon. And I'm in general, I'm a organizer from the Younghold, and I organized a lot of concerts before. And now through 30 years, I found this new idea, and I took this idea to organize concerts, and it's like survive, like start again to organize concerts. I'm very happy. I'm so happy, and I found these people that go along with me: Alejandra, Sylvia, Carlota, and others. And it's this team is a very, very good. It's like they work together. They're friends, and in other parts of the world, we found many many persons who have same things. They want to do it with Aku Hype, with us, to be with us. And in United States, I thought arrange it first in United States because of the history of your country, about African musicians that played in old pianos and improvised with this tuned out pianos. And I bought tickets before the COVID, but COVID stopped it. And now I hope we hope that soon they will open the borders for us, and we will come and arrange it. If you have possibilities, for example, in Spain, we organize concerts. We have they permit us half of 50% of public, but we organize concerts yet. And if you have possibilities in the United States, I will buy tickets and I will come and I will help you with to start it. This is idea. It's not about money, not about any business. It's just to give life to new idea. It's about this.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sylvia, one of the things I was going to ask in reference to that, actually on the board of a couple of the theaters here. Actually, I work for one and I'm on the board of another, and everything. One seats about a little bit over 1,000 people, and the other seats several hundred, like about 400 or something like that. But they do concerts regularly. The DPAC, which is one of our bigger ones, it's maybe like 2,500 or something like that. But a lot of them are now having to still put in restrictions. I mean, there are mask restrictions. They're definitely in some places requiring vaccination cards and things of that nature. So as an organizer, as one that is helping Sergi, are you concerned about being able to pull this off this year? Or do you think that it's going to be more realistic to be done in 2022 or 2023? Because I know even locally, we're seeing some of our tours that have stopped or are being pulled back because of some of the upticks that have happened, like Delta and some of the other things. So there is a concern about that. And I do know that even here in Durham, North Carolina, some of our venues have said that they are requiring like almost 100% mass participation. And in some cases, maybe even vaccinations would be required as well. So with some of these limitations, because even though society was starting to open up, it seems like it's also starting to close down a little bit as well. So as y'all are trying to organize this, and as you being a festival organizer and a musician, do you have some concerns about that also?
Yeah, well, the concern always is there, because it's like a little unstable situation. You never know what is going to happen.
Right.
For example, we did everything like hybrid this year, parts in person and parts online. I mean, the thing is that with music, you have this possibility as well, no? So you prepare just in case, and you follow the rules. But in case you cannot do, I mean, you can still use the online version for everything.
Right.
So we are just trying to see what's happened, and if the things start with restriction again, well, we can do online. I mean, because I mean, one of the things with online events is that you can meet in the same place many people, millions of people. For example, in our festival, we have many people, but they're around the world, not only countries, 4 countries around the world, So you always have to accommodate your things to the situations. Of course, we are concerned, but we are preparing everything just in case things open. But if not, well, you have the online version as well.
That makes sense. Alexandria, and that actually, as a musician, I'd love to hear from Sergi and maybe even George about it as well. But Alexandria, there's some people that are feeling that when concerts reopen, that we're going to be seeing more of this hybrid version, where there will be people that'll be at the concert, but because of safety, a lot of people will be wanting to watch from home. And even whether it's a classical performance or whether it's a rock and roll performance or a hip hop performance, they're feeling that it's going to be a mixture of both. So as one that is a performer, how will you be able to do with almost like serving two audiences? Because if you're doing a concert that is also being recorded for virtual, you're having to perform for both the person that is there in person. And that's the shows that I really enjoy as even an MC, the ones where I can resonate with the audience. But then you're also going to have to be performing for an audience that might be observing at the same time, but far away, and you don't really know what their reaction is. They could be having a good, positive reaction about what you're doing. They could be sitting there going like, I'm not really a big fan of this music, and going around doing their dishes for all we know. So how will you blend those two audiences together as a performer?
Sorry, Silvia, ¿puedes traducirme?
Bueno, esencialmente él estaba preguntando cómo harías en el caso de que tenés que, por ejemplo, hacer un performance, tenés que tocar un concierto en vivo, pero hay gente que dice, no, por esto del COVID y todo esto, yo prefiero verlo desde casa. Entonces, ¿cómo unirías las dos performances, la online y la en vivo? ¿Y cómo atraerías a la gente que sobre todo está viéndolo online para que no se distraiga y mientras vos estás tocando empiece a lavar los platos, por ejemplo? ¿Cuál sería tu posición con respecto a eso?
Vos me traducís, hablo rápido.
Sí.
En realidad es posible utilizar los dos métodos, solo que se puede primero hacer un concierto en live y luego trabajar con el concierto online, grabar el concierto online o hacerlo paralelo. Y la gente es inevitable, las personas pueden estar escuchando, es una cuestión de horas, en las que las personas pueden estar invitadas y ver, pero es inevitable que cuando la gente está en su casa pueda hacer otra cosa, pero eso no quita que la gente no escuche.
Well, the thing is that you can use two methods. For example, play a concert live, and after that to record that concert and stream that concert, or stream that concert in live or later. And I mean, isn't it inevitably that the sometimes when you are at home and you have to listen to something, you always are doing another things. So you cannot, I mean, it's unpredictable, the online process. But the idea is to do, for example, concert live and record, and after that pass that concert in YouTube channels or wherever.
And Sergi, I would imagine that this whole process that you're doing with the tuner would also make things a little bit more affordable, because I know that that's also been one of the issues that folks have had locally and around the country, and I would actually argue internationally, is that sometimes people feel that concerts are costly, that they cost a little bit too much. And I personally think that music is a wonderful part of our lives, and it's worth all that we pay the musicians, and also worth the amount of the cost of the ticket. But you know, with the inflation and with other things, there are people that are concerned about the price. So I'm thinking that if you're getting a stronger sound based on your invention, that it might make it a little bit more economical and definitely a more better product.
Sergei está preguntando que cómo haces para que sea más accesible a la gente asistir a los conciertos, por ejemplo, en esta época que vivimos ahora de crisis, que hay gente que no puede acceder a ir a los conciertos. ¿Cómo harías tú para, de alguna forma, abrirlo a este sector?
I don't know what's the response for this question. No, I don't know how to respond.
No problem. That was just something that popped in.
No, we just organize concerts, and
I think yeah. Sí.
I thought it's cut it. Oh, yes, we just organize concerts here, and it's not easy to fill the concert hall with audience, and I think it's in every world pass the same thing because of COVID with the restrictions, and we speak about streaming. We speak about to make two things in time. For example, we have a small music school with a small concert hall where we can invite some people and make same time streaming and to do two things in time. For the moment, we can do it, but to feel concert hall, I don't know how it does work for such strange time.
Algo interesante que quisiera que le traduzcan a Mark es que el concierto online tiene que ser corto, 10 minutos, 15 minutos, prepararlo con una buena posibilidad como se hacía durante la cuarentena. Conciertos cortos de 10 minutos con 2 obras conocidas y así crear una van premier, una premier y de esa manera convocar la gente con anterioridad y las personas vienen. Eso nosotros lo hemos hecho con Marcela Rogeri. Esa experiencia la tuvimos, conciertos más cortos. Si pueden traducirla, Mark.
Yeah, the idea is to having like a short concerts, like 10, 15 minutes, with 1 or 2 pieces, well-known pieces. So you show the product with those only in 10 or 15 minutes. Could be a great idea as well.
That makes a lot of sense. I wanted to bring George into the conversation because one of the things that I've been really fascinated by, and I'm sure that all of y'all would probably agree with this as well, is that because of the COVID and most of us been in isolation at home, we're seeing a lot more collaborations. I'm seeing that even on the Clubhouse app and Discord and Facebook. So we're seeing a lot of people that would not normally have been working together. Like I'm sure that George is in a part of the world as well. So definitely he's probably working with people in like the United States and maybe even Australia, and y'all have definitely been working with people around the world as well. So I'm thinking that because of what's going on with the pandemic, we're seeing more collaborations. I'm actually of the opinion that we're in the middle of a new renaissance, and I'm a student of history. So I know that a lot of times when people think of the Renaissance, they think of the Harlem Renaissance here in the U.S. They think of course, the great French Renaissance and the great Italian Renaissances. But it seems to me that we're in the middle of a new one. And part of that is that like-minded creative people are able to get together. So I'd love to hear your thoughts around that. So I'll start with you, George, but definitely want to hear from Sergi as well, and definitely hear from Sylvia also. But George, tell a little bit about your background and how it's been helped by being at home and what's going on in your life and some of the collaborations that you're doing.
All right. Well, me on my side, Mark. I've met an artist. I've been friends for a while now. He's from the US. Because me, I'm from South Africa. So we've been friends for over 2 years now. So it's fun that you're mentioning it because I'll say 5 days back, he actually insisted that we collaborate and create a song together. So hopefully by next month we'll arrange something, and then I'll keep you updated about that. But hopefully we'll create something great, something inspiring, something that shows unity. Even though I might be from South Africa, he's from the US, so we'll try to find a balance. Maybe transport the music back and forth up until we get something that makes us both happy and satisfied about the whole project. So yeah, right now I think collaboration makes perfect sense because lately everyone is indoors, everyone is losing jobs sometimes, things are not predictable like before, So collaboration is more important more than ever now because we artists we need each other more than ever. Even streaming, it's no longer that profitable and stuff. Music is no longer that profitable and stuff. So unity, it matters more right now more than ever, really. That's my take on it. And you are right when you say you must collaborate and everything. You need that at the moment.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sergi, that actually brings to the point I was going to try to bring to you. It seems to me that this would be a stronger time to create the product that you have gotten and to get the word out and to get it to the world because everybody is home. So whether it's a piano player in, say, Tampa Bay, Florida, or a piano player in Paris, France, they would both need the services, but you would be able to sell the product to them a lot quicker than you would if you were having to fly to, say, Tampa or Paris or London and do like private negotiations, where now you can have them all on one big Zoom call and do even like a virtual presentation. I was actually part of a conference. It was actually an African-American business conference recently. And there was a young lady that I think in November is going to be opening a virtual mall. So she'll literally be able to show the mall as you would in a store, but it was very, it wasn't as plastic as some of our current malls are and everything. So it's very warm kind of mall, almost like a living room in a house, because they were creating it virtually and using some of that AI and augmented reality kind of stuff. And they had music embedded in there and things. So I would think that that would be another person that you could reach out to, this lady that's doing the virtual 360 mall out of Indiana. And I think the first one is supposed to be here in the US, but I understand she might even have some people in Scotland that are going to create something similar. So it seems to me that projects like that would be projects that would fit into what you have created and what you want to create on a global sense. So this could have been one of those times of the invention and the timing of the world being a perfect match.
Yeah. Now we speak with piano tuners from other parts of the world, and I think in the future, in some short time, there will appear piano tuners that will prepare pianos, and you could organize concerts in a less expensive way. So, and for the future, there are other ideas to make one Akuhype that will be produced, specially produced as Akuhype. It's a question for producers, but it's in the future. Maybe in the next meeting, I can explain the details about that.
Do you ever worry, and Carletta may have some thoughts about this as well, but do you ever worry about being in a field that has been around forever, but because of new technology and new things that are being developed, it becoming obsolete? Because like right now, I know that even the piano that we have at the African American Cultural Arts Center that I'm part of, we have a piano tuner that comes in because a lot of times the piano hasn't been used for, like, say, several months. So I have to come in to make sure that it's tuned for the artist that is coming to perform. And they do that probably at least, I would argue, during regular times, maybe 3 or 4 times. I have to check with my fellow staff members to see if I'm giving correct figures, but I would say maybe 3 to 4, 5 to 6 times of a year where they do that. They come in there and they tune the piano because they want to make sure that they're providing the best sound for the artist. But with these new techniques that are out there and with new technology, do you have a fear that at some point the piano tuner job may become obsolete, even though it's been out there for decades and even centuries? But is there any concern of yours that at some point there is no need for a piano tuner?
For the piano tuner, it's a special way to prepare pianos, and a little more difficult. For the beginners, it's impossible to prepare Akuhype well. So it's just for professional piano tuners.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that's where I was going. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was letting you finish your thought.
I don't understand. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. I was just letting him finish his thought. Carletta, what are your thoughts about that? Because I do know that sometimes as a young person, there are certain fields that might have become almost obsolete. I mean, I've even heard that about automobile engineers and things of that nature. So, like I said, I have a great deal of respect for piano tuners because we actually have to use them all the time at both the festivals that I've worked as well as some of the performance venues that I've worked as well. So I know oftentimes we will call them in because a lot of times the pianos are not being played all the time. So a lot of times they wind up being display pieces, for lack of a better term. And then when they are needed to be played, you have to get them tuned. But if we're in this modern day technology where there's so much of things that are able to be done electronically and done without a great skilled man like Sergi. Even as a young person, are you concerned that somebody that is of the skill set of Sergi may be lost in the transition to this digital world that we're going into?
Actually, like, I think it's like Corona like accelerate everything a lot. It's like teleworking, for instance. People work from home a lot. Like, it accelerates the development of technology in music, of like how we connect more. So I think in a way that make us realize more that we need the connection. We need like the concert, the live concert. And this is what I really like about Akohai, because it's not about an electric piano. It's about an acoustic piano that you have to listen in a concert, because it's amazing. Like, it evolves the room, and it's like experience that you cannot really put it, like you can do virtual reality and all these things. And I think it's super nice, you know, and there's a lot of things to do there. But like the concert per se, like I think people right now, like they really realize that they need it. And we need to contact people, we need to see people, we need to talk to each other. And the social part of the music is huge. So I think actually Corona makes us realize more about this. So I think it's a good way in that sense that we are improving in technology, but we realize that we need the social part for sure.
I agree. Alexandria,
Yeah,
go ahead, George.
No, I agree with Colleen. Am I right? Is that the name? Colleen?
Carletta.
Sure if it's the name.
Carlota.
Calera. Yes, sorry about that, Calera. Sorry about that.
No,
Yes,
it's
I
fine.
agree with Calera. Technology is evolved, and COVID-19, you know, since it came through, I'll say that we use technology more than ever now, because we're always indoors. Even artists can't perform like we used to before. So what's happening right now is we are doing everything indoors. We are producing music indoors, and not many things are happening out there. And thanks to COVID-19, it's really, really, really making our life hard as musicians. So yeah, even the piano, like I see, what's his name, Sergi? Sergi is a piano tuner, right? So what's happening? It's not that easy for him to get jobs, for example, because everyone is doing what you call in the box, which means everything's being done digitally. Even the piano now, they are selling, what do you call it? Piano, what do you call it? I forgot it. It's something that like it's like an app. Yes, what do you call plugins? Yes, piano plugins. You are using more piano plugins. Like, for example, you can get a virtual concert, virtual plugins like your violins, your pianos, your orchestra, and everything. Now everyone is doing, even the greatest, what do you call it, producers and everyone, like we have like 20 to 30 years experience. Most of them, what they are doing right now is they are doing things in the box. So this thing of instruments, practical instruments, like hands-on instruments, I think it's fading slowly but surely. So we are now using more virtual instruments, and they are improving them all the time. So, and COVID-19 is also not helping at all, because now you, for example, Sergi can't get concerts, can't get what you call bookings for him to tune pianos, because everyone will be doing, unless maybe the piano is connected to the camera, then that way you can create what you call a virtual concert. I think that's the solution for piano, unless you've been called to tune the piano so that it can be played in a virtual concert kind of thing, like the cameras been put there for everyone to see them playing live. But yeah, COVID-19 has really, really, really made our lives very difficult. Already difficult lives being made even more difficult by COVID-19. So yeah, these times are really trying times. Really.
Yeah, definitely.
So can only hope for the best. Really.
Yep. Alexandria, as a performer, what are your thoughts about that? Because definitely, I know having friends that have played the cello and played some of the other instruments that are in that cello family and everything, they love the feel of being with the audience. They love that feel of being there in that environment, and definitely it's hard to do when you're doing it virtually. So how are you able to, what ways do you use to engage the audience when you're performing in a virtual environment? And are you concerned about people using synthesized sounds or electronic sounds to create the sound of a cello or the sound of a piano, and it may be kind of like creating less jobs for those of you that are skilled in the cello?
I'm sorry, Carlota?
Sí, dice que ahora en la época que estamos es como, por ejemplo, se están haciendo, puedes tocar en el ordenador violín, piano,
Ah,
tienes
sí.
como todos estos rangos y si te preocupa que eso de alguna forma haga perder un poco la esencia y también si los conciertos online, ¿cómo los contrapones al concierto real en
Ah,
vida?
I think I speak. I think the possibility, electronic possibility with the cello, with the violin, is not nice and very good. The song is not really. This is an electronic song, and not harmonics. Is not a beauty. It's not possible with the same song with the really cello. It's not possible. I play the cello, and now all the things, all the notes is wonderful, but and the technology is amazing for student for the moment for listen and the song when the composer for the composer, but it's not possible to the competition with the really instruments with the electronic instruments. But in the concert this year, I am teacher of piano and cello. This first time, this is very difficult. First week. Oh my God, my lesson. Oh, the people's not possible. But before, after the people, the young people, the old people, with my student is working with me with the telephone, with the small tablet, iPad, with the computer. It's very interesting with the adaptation of the people with the new technology for the problem with the COVID. For the concert on YouTube, for the small student, for the student is very important. The concert. This is the high moment in her life. Now for the small student, recording in home. For me, I am concert on YouTube. This is important because all the people see the concert of 30 minutes alone. And now the parents, the mom, paps, all see the small weak peoples. Now on this is possible, but I think that in this moment with the war is complicated with the problem of with the COVID, and the solution is not too much solution for this. Now is a adaptation, the people adaptation, the concert with a small in YouTube, but not possible change the really concert with the big song. Not possible. This is an experience only so wonderful, the concert with the musician, with the orchestra, but with and see through in the computer is good. It's possible see, but it's not same experience.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. And I can see what you're saying and everything. I see that Carletta has pulled up a song that features the cello and the piano. So I want to let folks check that out as well. And I'm actually a big fan of definitely the stringed instruments. Actually, I'm a fan of the great Esperanza Spalding and things along those lines. But I was wondering before I played this piece, if there were anybody within that family that in the modern day realm have really influenced you and that you really enjoy. Like I said, I'm a fan of Esperanza Spalding, and we have a young lady locally here named Genevieve Palmer. Actually, I'm sorry, she changed her name to Sinclair recently, but Sinclair that does a lot of great music, and there's others as well. But I was just wondering if there were people that resonated with you. And since Carletta, you're probably gonna have to translate. And by the way, Sergi, I think I'm gonna steal Carletta and have her as my translator anytime that I do international shows. So I might be borrowing Carletta every once in a while for my international shows so she can be my translator. But Carletta, are there any musicians that are really resonating with you that you really enjoy in that jazz, cello, piano bass world and everything. So are there any, or just the jazz world in general, are there any musicians that resonate with you? And then I'd love to hear the same from Carletta, George,
Yeah, well,
and Sergi.
I'm discovering like a lot of artists that, because we work with them, so it's so nice to meeting them in person as well. And like this video, for instance, that I sent you is Delis Duo, and I don't know, it's a duo that I really like, and they do jazz, but they do classic as well. And Elena Lasco is a Russian pianist, but she's very good. And actually, we were thinking about doing a project with her that I think is quite resonates with the thing you said before, because we were thinking about doing kind of like a project of like a competition of improvisation, because we wanted to give the improvisation an important role, because we are losing a little bit that, right? Like we are being too mechanic, so we wanted to go back there with Echo Hive as well and being like outdoors. So it's better for COVID, right? Like we are outdoors and people can enjoy much better. So we were thinking about doing that, and yeah, like I think there's a good option to be more outside and do things more outside than indoors all the time, and doing concerts in that way as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely love outside concerts. Some of my best festivals here in North Carolina have been the outside ones. Matter of fact, we just did this past week the Festival at the Eno, which kind of is a combination nature festival, but also a lot of traditional music, whether that's folk, blues, jazz, or whatever else, even like some traditional Irish and those kind of sounds. And last year we did it strictly virtually. This year we did 2 days live and 1 day virtual. So it was a 3-day festival, and it was split in half. So we're seeing that some of the events are coming back fully virtual. Some are coming back as hybrid, as y'all were saying earlier. And it depends on how things are going in the whole world of the pandemic and the fight against this deadly virus and everything, or the several variations that it has. But Alexandria, who were some of the musicians that influenced you in your own musical playing? Maybe there were some of the great classical musicians, but who were some of your own influences, even as a teacher?
Carlota.
Sí, ¿qué tipo de músicos de jazz, por ejemplo, o que en este momento te estén influenciando a ti y que tú veas que tienen potencial?
All the now for influence, I love so much Herbie Hancock.
Oh yeah.
And the jazz, I love Herbie Hancock. I love and the pianist, Thelonious Monk. Duke Ellington, the best for me. I play the piano because I love so much Duke Ellington and Maurice Ravel and Chopin. But all the time in my family, listen the music, the jazz music and bossa nova, because my mother is Brazilian. The classic music. Now I think the jazz is so wonderful, so important, because it's the two music together, the improvisation with the music, written music, composer music, because it's possible play a sentimental mood of Duke Ellington, but same Herbie Hancock, Kay Jarrett, I love that, Kay Jarrett on Duke Ellington. And same Duke Ellington play sentimental mood with the different improvisation is amazing. I think for me the jazz is so important in the history of music, because in the 20th century, 20, I don't know the number, but Ravel and now George Gershwin in America, in the travel to America, and now Ravel, now the musician of jazz, his music is wonderful with the influence of the jazz, the Ravel music, with the new colors, the new harmony is amazing. Now George Gershwin play the same Ravel, this moment of Ravel. This is and the influence under the two musicians, Ravel and Gershwin, and the old pianists of jazz. The jazz is a wonderful music. For my student now, I work with Kay Jarrett, the piece of Kay Jarrett.
Oh yeah. You know, those
Yeah.
are some great musicians, and some of them have North Carolina roots because I know Thelonious Monk
Okay.
is from North Carolina, and they actually have
Ah,
some Monk ties to this area, and definitely there's a lot of John Coltrane influences around North
Yeah,
Carolina. There's actually 2 John Coltrane festivals, so I might have to get Sergi to come and bring some of his stuff to that because Coltrane was definitely an amazing
oh,
piano player
amazing.
and all of that. So Coltrane is definitely another great musician that has some ties to my home state of North Carolina. But definitely, it's always interesting when I hear people from other parts of the globe talk about their love of jazz, because too often here in the United States, it's still loved, but not loved as much as it should be. Like I don't hear it enough on the radios and on our local radios. And there's even a discussion between what people consider the more traditional jazz, or what some people would call straight ahead jazz, and that would be like Herbie Hancock and Miles Davis and some of the others, and what people consider more like smooth jazz or pop jazz. Jazz has been heavily influenced by pop music, so it's really interesting. And I'm sure that even your students probably, some of them probably gravitate more to the more modern jazz.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
What is your thoughts
now
about that,
is-
Carletta? Because you're relatively young yourself. Because I do know here in the States, we have a lot of people that talk about that they have maybe a little bit more respect for the more modern contemporary jazz than they do for the more traditional jazz. But I was just wondering, but I do think that a lot of times our music, meaning jazz music, and even some of the earlier funk music and even some of the earlier rap, is more respected overseas than it is here. But they say that oftentimes, no matter what your music is, that it's oftentimes respected abroad quicker than it is in your home region.
I think it really depends of the artist for sure. But I think there's right now like a movement of people that is really valuing the coming back to the classics, let's say, and coming back to like their the jazz in the beginning and how it sounds. Is like I think I really feel that in young people, like they are going back to music to understand like the music we have right now, because at the end is like based on that. So that's like what I feel is that.
No, that makes sense. And actually, viewer that we have pop in every once in a while to make comments is a gentleman by the name of Ghost Hand 246, and you will enjoy this, Alejandra. He's actually from, because I think you said your mom is Brazilian. He's actually from Brazil and lives in Brazil. So he said that jazz and to a lesser extent, blues have their own variations around the world. Here in Brazil, we have bossa nova, which is its own spin on American jazz blues with its own Southern flavor. So he was actually given his definition of what bossa nova is, and I would agree with that kind of academic variation of what that definition is.
Yeah.
But definitely,
It's a new creation. The bossa nova is a new music, but it's the jazz with a new rhythmic with the other instrument influence. The music, the Brazilian music is so rhythmic, too much all the time with the rhythm, African rhythm, but is wonderful. But with the music of jazz, the colors of the jazz is amazing. I think this is in a new rama, como decimos, Carlos, now, yeah, it's amazing. This, but now the jazz is possible. I think the jazz and the new music, classic music, is in only direction, because now all the change, the society, the musical change, the society change. That now the jazz and the classic music have have a new and only an only camino,
An olive road, an olive path.
an olive road. Yeah,
yes.
is all the time the music, for the music, for me, the music is the life. The music is the life. Now, the jazz is amazing.
Oh yeah, truly. George, I'm also a fan of Miriam Makeba, or I believe that's her name, but the South African musician and everything. But I was just wondering, but there's definitely been great musicians that came out of South Africa and great jazz musicians and others. So I just wondered if you talk about the influence of jazz and even the influence of some of the modern music like hip hop to the music that you're seeing out of South Africa. Because I know that even some of the great rock musicians were recognizing Miriam's style and recognizing a lot of other great musicians, and was even incorporating them into their music. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about jazz and its influence on South Africa and vice versa.
Yeah, no, Mark, jazz in South Africa is very huge. It's very huge in South Africa. And as you know, Miriam Makeba always went to the US and he traveled the world over. And then we also have the late Brayush Masekela, who was influenced, by the way, by one of the American trumpet legends. What's his name again?
He sang Dizzy Gillespie?
Actually, was an African American.
Right.
What a Wonderful World. He sang What a Wonderful World.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who that is, but I know the conversation that you're talking about and everything. But definitely, it's just interesting seeing these world influences and how they are influenced by each other.
Then you have yes, and then most of the African jazz musicians most of the jazz musicians in America and South Africa used to share a lot of experiences amongst themselves. Most of the time, you have your Letta Mbulu, and then we have your Kaifa Semenya always going to the US and sharing his experiences there, and also the late Miriam Makeba, and then we have Brayush Masekela. Most of the jazz musicians are great in South Africa. Then we have your Jonas Gwangwa. You also play the trumpet, and
you were talking about Harry Belafonte. I should have remembered that. You were talking about the actor and the musician Harry Belafonte that was influencing you, Masekela, and everything, because I know that they were good friends and everything. So definitely Harry Belafonte was a good friend of both Masekela as well as the Makaba. And even when I think of Africa, I also think of Ladysmith, Black Mambaza, and some of the other groups like that.
Yes, and we know Ladysmith, Black Mambaza, they are legends. Every time when they release an album, they get a Grammy. So they were just untouchable. So I love them very much. Very influences to me. Then we had your because I'm a pop musician myself. So the late Brenda Fassie as well, she influenced me a lot because she was one of the biggest pop artists of her time. So both pop and jazz music in South Africa is very huge. And then right now, I think you have heard about what's this? It's not my Malaika. I forgot the name of that group. It's currently right now in the US right now. They're also very good. They're singing Afro pop. So and they are is a lady and a guy.
I'm trying to remember who that is.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that is, but I know that locally on the network we have a show that is one of your great kind of y'all's version of Taylor Swift, because one of the ladies that does the show here on this network is Alexandria May, and I know that a lot of people in South Africa know who she is because she's definitely been in that pop world, and she does a show on this network. She was doing it every Sunday. I think right now it's temporarily on hiatus, but we're hoping to bring it back very shortly. But she's definitely considered to be the Taylor Swift of South Africa after she won one of y'all's contests several years back and everything. There was one of those America's Got Voice type competitions.
Yes, most definitely. And also international, I also like Seal because everyone says I sing like Seal, I look like Seal, so it's kind of very controversial, but in a good way. So
no, definitely.
I also like international artists.
No doubt. Sergi, who are some of the people that have influenced you in your both piano tuning career as well as just your music career
very
in
good,
general?
and that's it.
Sergi?
Influences.
Yes, that's what I was asking.
So many people, not so many people. First, my example, it was when I was a student in the music school of like a director of choir. We were 60 and just just 4 months, and in my course we were 2 men, and my friend proposed me go to tune piano for one, and I tried tune one stream, and it was the first, but it gave me the job. I started
Wow.
tune piano from there.
Wow, that's amazing. You said it off of
I
the
think it's
classic
quite
movie?
It's just I tried to tune one string, only one string, and after I started looking for the possibilities to start a tune entire piano, and from there I started to be as piano tuner.
Gotcha.
And after experience, it was piano tuner of Philharmonic from Ekaterinburg Philharmonic, Vitaly Botalov. It was a very good experience. I received very good things to know as a piano tuner, as in the construction, entire construction of the pianos, reinstall things. Yeah.
Fascinating.
And
Appreciate that.
then it was a Scrabble organ, pipes organ factory in Slovenia, Rogaška Slatina, where I had an experience as pipes organs tuner. It's a big influence for me.
One of the things that's, Sergey, one of the things that you would be sad to know is that sometimes in our churches and our historical churches, some of those great pipe organs that had that resonant sound have gotten into a state of disrepair. Because I know the Cultural Arts Center that I was part of, we actually, when they did the renovations, they took that beautiful pipe organ out of the venue, and when they took it out, they stored it, and then they lost it. But then we've recently found it, but we found parts of it. So it's actually stored in a part of the Cultural Arts Center and needs to be either restored, but that's going to be hard, or turned into an artistic decoration of some sort. Because I do know that even at one of our local universities, that's what they did. They converted that beautiful pipe organ into like some decorations that are more of a cosmetic type view. So it's not really a true, you can't play it, but it's just kind of an artistic rendition that's out there. And I know that that's what they did at one of our local universities. But even at the Cultural Arts Center that I work at, I know every time I go into one of our storage rooms, I see those pipe organs, and I'm like, those really need to be used for something, either as an artistic piece or as a restored piece as well. But unfortunately, that's just one example of, or two, if I count the university examples, because too often we find that because there's nobody that is enough people taking care of those classic things, that we're losing them.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Carletta, if you'll just ask him his thoughts about how some of the classic renditions of the instruments, particularly in the West, have been lost in some of our churches and things of that nature. And you can tell him that I was giving him some personal examples based on what I've seen in Durham, North Carolina. But if you can just let him know, that's really what I was asking, was his views about some of these classic pianos that are being lost because there's not enough people to take care of them.
Te pregunta si crees que se ha perdido un poco el piano clásico porque no hay suficiente gente que esté teniendo cuidado de ellos, por todo el tema que hemos hablado antes, de que hay un tema de mucha evolución en la música electrónica, pero no tanto en lo otro.
Yeah, it's about electronic music. I think it's a big influence of electronic music, and a lot of styles. And in general, we go now to internet and online, and we don't meet so much before. For example, we don't go to the movie together. don't go to the concerts. It's in general changement in the world I see, and but this idea about eco-hype, it's small step to the past, and we just remind to the people that acoustic sounds exist. Just let's come back and to listen it, and maybe we will find something new here. And it's ideas for musicians, for composers, investigate it again, and looking for more option, more ideas in the music. Yeah.
Carletta, if I can ask him a follow-up question, if you'll translate it. Well, I was trying to get at it, and of course I don't understand the translations that you're given, but what is his feelings about kind of the loss of those historical ones? Because that's where I was really going, was how we lose a lot of those historical places. Like here in the US, there were a lot of churches that used to have those big pipe organs, but they don't have them as much now, and they're disappearing. And part of it is there's not enough pipe tuners that can actually fix them. So when they get in a state of disrepair, there's not enough people that are able to fix them, and therefore they get lost. So as a piano tuner and as a world piano tuner, is that a concern that he has, that these kind of classical instruments could be lost?
¿Has entendido, Sergei?
Maybe it's not yes, approximately yes. I think it's not big. It's not lost of classical music. It's just changements. We have too much information, too much. We have a lot of possibilities to listen music in different channels. We have so many options that we just tired sometimes of the noise. We would like to be in the silence, and before it was we stay at home and no music, no friends, and maybe okay, let's go to the concert. But now we have a telephone, we have a computer,
Sí, pero Sergei,
radio, television. There are a lot of noise in our life, and maybe
Sergei
this
está
is the
preguntando,
point of the changements.
Who are you saying, Carletta?
Él está preguntando más por la parte de, dice por ejemplo que en las iglesias hay muchos órganos de tubo que se están echando fuera porque no hay gente suficiente para repararlos y para cuidar de ellos, y que si tú ves que en España está pasando esto también, como está pasando en los Estados Unidos, que hay como una pérdida de esa cultura y de ese instrumento.
Yeah, now it's very expensive to repair pipes, organs, and the same thing as with acoustic pianos. With the pipes, organs, go the same thing, and to the churches we propose now electronic organs. It's less expensive. It's less. Same, it's less expensive maintenance. You just buy it and you have it without problems. It's just work and no more. Not like pipes, organs. You have a lot of expensive things around pipes, organs.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to bring Alexandria back, because the other question I have, oops, she didn't show up. So she showed up that way. So let me see. She might have to come back out and in and all of that. But the other thing that I was curious about is, and you might have to translate this, and I love you from Georgia as well, is here in the United States, too often there is a concern about the commercialization of music, because here in the United States, a lot of the music is controlled by one or two entities. So like if you go hear jazz in the local station in LA and you listen at the same time at say 3 o'clock in the afternoon in New York, you might hear the same music, because it's only like 3 or 4 entities that are in control of the mainstream media and all of that. And I was wondering, do y'all see the same thing in other parts of the globe? Because that's a big concern that folks have here, is that they don't hear enough diversity. Now we are hearing more because of the internet and people putting their own music out and everything. But there was a time that people were concerned that they were hearing the same 40 or 50 songs over and over again, and it didn't matter whether it was in New York, Las Vegas, LA, Chicago, or wherever, because there was only 2, 3, or 4 entities that are in control of mainstream radio. So I was just wondering, is that a concern globally, or is that just strictly a U.S. concern? So I don't know if you can translate that, Carletta, or if you get where I'm going with that, or if not, if you can answer it and maybe help Sergi. If I can bring Alexandria up, maybe if her camera is working, she can answer as well. But that's what was another concern that we've talked about on this show, is both the globalization of music, but also how music has been controlled by certain corporate entities. And I don't know if that is as much of a concern globally as it is here in the U.S.
Ujú. Sergei está preguntando que, por ejemplo, en Estados Unidos hay un par de corporaciones o de empresas que llevan toda la música y están controladas por muy pocas personas. Y te preguntas si en España tú ves que también esto sea así o ves que es algo global.
Yes, I think it's in general globalization in the world. I think it's for everywhere. Yes, the influence of globalism in the world. I think yes.
Gotcha.
I think
Appreciate
like a small association, because we just our association has 2 years, so we are quite small. So it's been quite hard to start, honestly, because I was there, like I came 1 year ago. It's very hard to start from zero and construct something and like have all the contacts you need. Doing grants, for instance, we try to do grants, but the grants normally goes for the same people all the time.
Right.
And these kind of things makes us very, very hard for super talented people with good ideas to go out there, because it's what you said. Like, it's just the same people doing the same things, commercial music. And at the end, I don't know, I think the small projects like this and like a lot of projects around is the really good ones, because people put a lot of love there. And if the team is nice, because you know the people, and it's another thing. I opinate.
No, I agree. George, are you seeing the same thing in South Africa, where a lot of the music is being controlled by 1 or 2 entities, and therefore there's not as much love given toward the independent artists? Because that's kind of where I was going, was a lot of times the independent artists don't get as much support from the commercial side of music as they do if they are part of the established music scene. So I was wondering, is that the same thing in South Africa?
Yeah, this thing of music being played on the radio and TV is a worldwide problem. Really. It's not only an American problem or a South African problem, it's a worldwide problem. Because what I've realized is, while I'm watching a channel, a network, there's this song that keep on playing over and over again, and the same artist, if they release something new, they keep on repeating themselves on almost every music channel. Whether it's MTV based, Channel O, it's the same thing, really. It's a very serious problem. When you are an independent artist like myself, for example, the only thing I can do is promote my songs, say from LinkedIn or YouTube, or even Facebook and Instagram. That's my only place where I can promote my music. Otherwise, as far as airplay is concerned, it's not. Chances are very slim for myself as an independent artist. So this thing of music being played is very, 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 very. What can I say? It's only for the big players, like your big labels and everything. Those are the ones with real connections that they can put the artist on this big radio stations and your MTVs and your Channel O's. As far as us as independent artists, only thing for me for people to hear my music is to take money out of my pocket and go through the internet route, like your Facebook, your YouTube, and anything that requires money for me to promote my music. But as far as my music getting discovered by radios and TV, nope, fair chance, not a fair chance. Gotcha. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Alexandria, I was going to ask you the same thing. I'm glad you're back with us. But when we hear the classical music, it's oftentimes the great legends. And when we hear the great legends, of course, they've been gone centuries ago and things of that nature. So, and when there is a few of the newer ones that get out, it's few and far between. And they are kind of like a small box of them that they allow to go in that commercial market. So I was wondering, how are some of the ways that you try to break that? Because one of the things that we were talking about as you were off the screen is how too often the commercial side has got a limited amount of folks that they allow to be quote unquote discovered.
Sí, no se te escucha, Elena. O sea, Alejandra, tienes que abrir el micro. Se está preguntando que, no sé si lo has escuchado, pero que él piensa que hay un par de personas que controlan un poco el sector de la música y que está muy comercializado y que eso no da mucha voz a los pequeños artistas independientes. ¿Qué piensas de esto?
I think this is possible because the music, this is a big market, big market. Now is the people, the stars, the artists, the big artists is not only the big artist with his arts. No, it's the big artist because it's the big publicity, the big work do with this artist, not the talent, only the talent. Now this other artist is not possible in the big concert because in this moment the music, the classic music is quiero decirle que es como una fábrica de artistas, todos en serie.
It's like a factory of artists. All is serious, like a factory.
Yeah,
the factory with the pianist now. We see. I am very very critical with Yuga Wang, Lang Lang, and Katia Bunia-Chalebi. This is the young people. It's played very 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 good, but this is not one person, one artist. It's the same. You in the time Arthur Rubinstein, Horowitz, the big artist. Is it possible? Listen. This is Horowitz. This is Rubinstein. Not see and listen. This is this person. But now this is in the factory of the very 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 good technical and the publicity, because it's not only the the market of listen the music is a visuality too. Now the musicians, this is the young persons, the very beautiful girls, and the with the too much movement or play is not necessary. This is the piano is the concentration, the hands, the fingers, not all the body. But now with the young artist, this is in the very very show. It's a very showed. Is for see, not for listen. This is the publicity. I think the market of the publicity play work for the small group of artists. But this other artist not very very important. A big talent, but not I don't know why not possible, because it's small, it's not beauty. This is today. I think the society is a visual society, and the fiction society, the fiction society, because the people is the beauty, young performance, not only the music. Today, for Clara Haskell, this is the big pianist in the story. This is not possible a long history, a long work in the music, because this is a woman, a woman, small women with the hairs, white hairs, not beauty with the glasses, not a top model. You understand? And now this is the music need this. The music need this market of the person, and I don't know. You understand? ¿Está claro más o menos, Carlota?
Sí, se entiende.
Yeah.
Lo que le quiero decir es que la gente hoy necesita ver y para poder creer, para poder sentir. Las mujeres y los hombres tienen que ser bonitos y se apuesta a pocos artistas.
And I think in what you're saying is, I think right now we are putting a lot of effort in the marketing and in how to show the product, how it's attractive to people, and we put all the money there, but later the content is not as good because
Right.
all the money is in the product manager. So there's a lot of like, yeah, it catch your attention, but then later you consume 1 minute and then you don't see again. It's
Right.
about like quantity but no quality. Like we have to work on quality and in good things. And I think right now it's crazy. Like they catch your attention all the time with adverts and with things, with colors, but like it's not really like a proper thing. Like I don't know to go with.
No, I definitely agree with you and everything. And I want to hear some of the music that you brought up, and I'm also going to at some point bring up George's song "Here Comes the Sun" and everything. But before I do that, I did want to, because he had made this comment some time back, I want to bring up something that Ghost said, our Brazilian friend. But he said we also have some of the American grooviness of jazz and blues influence in samba here in Brazil. That sense of tempo and energy, even influence in some Italian communities such as the Adoniranian Barbassa. So he was actually saying how some of the world communities have put together in Brazil. And I actually have a friend here in the complex that I live in, the apartment complex that is from Brazil. And she oftentimes talks about that very universal nature of Brazil with all the different cultures blended into that country. She also sometimes doesn't say the greatest things about the political system over there because y'all have a very interesting political government over there as well. So I know there were some comparisons made to our past leader, meaning the person that just left the U.S. presidency and all of that. But off of that note, we will say a little bit of music. I think I played the first one that you sent, which I think you said was a combination of cello and piano. So I'll bring that one up, and hopefully we can hear a little bit of that one. So definitely as it comes up, I think this was the one that was classical music and cello. Cool. I like that. Let me take that down. How do y'all find the musical innovators? And I guess this is for anybody, but I guess it's probably geared toward Sergi. But how do you find the folks that y'all are considering musical innovators? Do they reach out to you? Is there a process that they get picked and everything? And do you try to balance the society? So do you try to pick, like those were two young ladies, do you try to make sure that you have a representation of what society is, whether that's your society where you live or whether that's just society in general? But how are these people picked as innovators?
Yes, after first the concert of Crazy Piano Club, where was presented this chamber, I started to looking for more collaborators and to organize musical organize association, cultural association, to be possible to have possibility to ask funds and to organize more concerts, to find more possibilities. And it was I found two girls, two friends who accepted this, and we registered it. Then it was changed. These friends got out of Barcelona, and it was changed the team. Now we have Carlota and Anna, secretary in Barcelona.
Wow.
It's all.
Gotcha. And do y'all ever try, if somebody, well, two questions, do you ever use people that are outside of, say, the classical and jazz field? Like I said, George is a pop and hip hop artist, and I know that there are other people that are listening that are into other forms of music. Like my friend Zach is a funk musician, and if y'all know about the sounds of George Clinton and Parliament, that would be considered funk music. And then I've got friends that are even in folk music and other styles of music. So are there opportunities for people like, say, George to get involved in the project with his South African pop music, or my friend Zach with his funk music? Or are we keeping it in just particular lanes of music or particular styles?
We don't. We don't fix some certain styles. We opened for every style of music because of that. For example, if we speak about normal classical piano, classical tuning, we have it in every style where you could listen the piano, and why we have to fix it for some style Aku Hype? No, we give it. We opened for every musician who would like to play it and present their ideas with Aku Hype.
Gotcha. Still want to get to the other one as well, but I didn't want George to feel left out. So I did find his Spotify recording, and we're going to hear at least a little bit of Here Comes the Sun with George, also known as the Punkster. So hopefully this will play and everything, and hopefully it'll give me the sound that I'm looking for.
Honestly speaking, I don't think I would have written this song without you, Lord, especially through my own understanding. I thank you for that, for being there with me always. And I pray that this song brings changes and bring the light through this COVID-19 we're facing. Through Jesus Christ. Amen. Doesn't matter where I'm going, you are there for me. It doesn't matter what I'm facing, your hand guides me through. It doesn't matter what I'm feeling, your love pulls me through. It doesn't matter how dark it gets, your light shines on me. Here comes, here comes, here comes, here comes, here comes, here comes, here comes. Sun, 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 sun. Here comes the sun. No importa dónde voy, estás para mí. No importa la calle que mi frente, tu magnanimidad para ver. No importa la que estés sintiendo, tu amor me atrae. Aunque estés oscuro afuera, tu luz brilla sobre mí. Aquí viene, aquí viene, aquí viene. Aquí viene, aquí viene, aquí viene, aquí viene el sol. Aquí viene, aquí viene, aquí viene, aquí
Well, that was Here Comes the Sun. So what was your thoughts and everything, Carletta? I said, hold on a second, I had to turn it off. I said, what was your thoughts? That was his song and everything. So what was your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I like it because it's a classic song, right? And he makes completely his own thing. I think that's quite valuable because, yeah, it's like making something that you can hear is like your style completely. And probably if I listen to another song that is your song, I know it's you. So I think that's super valuable and I like it, yeah.
Yeah, cool. What about yourself, Alexandria? Did you get to hear enough of it? And what were your thoughts about it? And then I'm going to bring up the other classical number that y'all sent me and everything. But what was your thoughts about Georgia's song?
¿Qué te ha parecido, Alejandra, la canción?
I love so much. Very, very, very. Oh, wow. I speak in Spanish in the moment, I think.
Yeah, he speaks Spanish. I was like,
Spanish. Ahí viene.
Ahí viene eso.
Sí, ahí viene todo. Amazing. It's very, very, it's so, walk is calming, but with the rhythm, I love so much. Beautiful.
Cool.
Congratulations. Amazing.
Thanks.
What about you, Sergi? What about you, Sergi? What did you think? And do you think you could use any of his musical skills on any of your projects?
Very beautiful. I tried to imagine it with Akru Hype piano. No, very beautiful. Very nice work. Yeah, congratulations,
Cool.
George.
Thanks, Sergi and Carletta. Yeah.
And precisely like the people that innovates with music, and is because normally people is more receptive, like jazz composers, for instance, or people that work in contemporary music are more receptive. So these ideas of Akru Hype, that classical music, for instance, like classical musicians. So I think like it's quite interesting to this style, for instance, that is something you could like maybe not think about. Like, I don't know, go there and explore how it sounds.
Yeah, that would be amazing to see how it plays out and all of that. That would be truly amazing. You sent me one other tape, Carletta, and I want to bring that up as well. You tried to explain what this one was. It wasn't the two ladies. I think it was one gentleman and somebody else.
This is a classical pianist called Fedor Biselov, And for him, like he was telling us in the beginning, it was a bit hard to, because classical musicians sometimes are very, in their way, but it really surprised us because it's another way to explore Ago Hive as well with classical music. So it gives us like a lot of like ways of showing. So yeah, like we could play a bit now.
Okay, cool. Let me bring it up. Hey, Sergi and Carletta, and even Alexandria and everything as well. That sound is so crisp, and I actually have some friends in the theater and the film world. So I was wondering, when y'all are thinking of your marketing, is that a market that y'all have been looking at? Because I know sometimes when I go watch movies or I go watch plays, there's sometimes the music isn't as crisp as you would like it to be in the soundtracks and things of that nature. So I was wondering if that's even a market that y'all have targeted, the whole soundtrack music end of the industry. Because like I said, a good friend of mine, Ronnie Warner, is a filmmaker out of California. I know a couple of other filmmakers both in New York and California, and definitely tons of theater people. And it seems to me that the way your invention makes the sound more crisp, that would fit in well with, say, TV shows or films or things of that nature. So I was wondering if y'all been even targeting those markets.
Está preguntando por el tema del cine, por ejemplo, y las bandas sonoras, como hacer como camino en esa atmósfera un poco.
Sobre Ago Hive.
Sí.
You listened, Mark. You listened the colors of the song in Ago Hive. This is a very, very interesting possibility, because I am in an interesting thing. The frequencies, como digo,
Frequencies.
The frequencies. This is same. It's not the frequencies bad. This is están muy próximas las dos frecuencias en la afinación.
The frequencies are very close to each other.
Now, when I listened, this is a song, mysterious song, and the beautiful atmosphere, the beautiful space, and not I don't know, unconnu, ¿cómo se dice? Desconocido.
Unknown.
No, esta música permite crear espacios desconocidos, eso le quiero decir, y que para una película es excelente, porque se puede cambiar el timbre y crea un espacio. Lo que le quiero explicar, si le puedo explicar, que las dos frecuencias están próximas, por eso la disonancia no es grande, sino que es un cambio de timbre. Eso.
He's saying the frequencies are very close, so that's why there's a change in the timbre. And that is like an unknown field completely, and is very like interesting for movies, for instance, because you can explore parts of mystery of like sound that you never been explored to express like and combine with visual reality as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because it reminds me of the kind of music that pulls you in. I mean, one of the big complaints you hear about people that go into offices here is that oftentimes it's that music that they call elevator music. So it's music that doesn't really engage you. It's there in the background. So it's there in the background and it doesn't engage you. Whereas all three of your songs, and I would even put George's song in there as well, even though he's not part of y'all's company, but all of y'all's music actually draws you in. It draws you in and you feel engaged with it. So like even if you were in a busy office and you went to the elevator and you heard that, it would pull you into listening to the music. Whereas oftentimes elevator music, which is oftentimes out in our society, is that kind of music that you don't, it's there and you're not paying attention to it and you're not even engaged with it. Whereas this pulls you into the conversation, even if you're having a hard day or if you're having a business meeting in the elevator. I think that it would pull you into listening to the music because of the richness of the sound.
Yes, it's like it's provoking something on you that at the end that starts. It's like provoking something in the soul or in the person. It's like, what is this thing I'm listening that is making me feel new things that I never felt, right? That's like what we should explore, like, I think.
No, I agree. And I think that there should be more of that around the world because unfortunately, too often when we go out and about and we hear music, it's that music that is background surface music that doesn't engage you. Whereas what y'all have created is something that exactly engaging you and drawing you in.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah, so it needs more of that kind of music in the world, and we definitely need more of that just in general. I'd love to hear from Sergio on this one, and you might have to translate it, but one of the things that we talked about on a variety of our shows is, and then I'm gonna get to George on it as well, is how too often innovators, whether they're creatives or whether they're inventors or whether they're composers or whatever, are given like negative vibes by their peers and people that are discouraging them. You know, there's a lot of people that are the naysayers in our lives and all of that. So I was wondering, did Sergi have any dealings with that when he came up with this project, and how did he deal with those people? Because too often there are people that will, you know, poo-poo the great ideas of society. I mean, like, you know, if we're in the middle of a pandemic, and even Mr. Salk that invented the polio vaccine, there were probably people that would tell him that cure would never work and that he shouldn't be doing it. And the same with like the Beethovens of the world and the Van Goghs of the world. There were probably people even in their era that were discouraging them. So I was wondering, has he faced any of that? And also, how did he deal with it in his own way of coping with people that will be negative? Because when we're in that creative space, we have people that are not going to be as encouraging.
About musicians, I tried to find pianists who will accept to play Echo Hype. It was not so easy because I had more around this project just classical pianists, but you know, we are afraid to tell to the people that we don't have some capacities. So classical pianists, they just play classical music. They don't play jazz, don't improvise. Just a partiture, they play partitures. And
la pregunta iba más como encaminada a los feedbacks negativos que está recibiendo por parte de gente, por ejemplo, que como que está negativa con el coronavirus y que no deja que avance la música.
About coronavirus. I studied about negative response about this, but about coronavirus is other situation. Let me see.
Not so much the coronavirus, more like about naysayers in his own life. So not the coronavirus, but more like people that are not encouraging him when he came up with this project.
Sí, como gente que no te apoya y que no te da como valentía para seguir con el proyecto. Si te has encontrado con gente en el camino así.
Yes, it's about this. Just classical pianists, they refused to play Echo Hype. And when I looked for the concert halls, it was just something tuned out, piano tuned out. It's not something dirty. It's something not standard. So people didn't accept it because it's new things. Just they don't know what we speak about. And after when we presented this concert, it changed totally. But before it was not so easy. It's right.
Yeah. And what about you? Definitely also, Alexandria, how do you deal with that when even as a teacher and as a professor, but also as a musician, when people were not encouraging you or not trying to encourage your career? Because a lot of times, even here in the United States, there are a lot of times the naysayers will try to plant doubt in your head.
Sorry, Carlota.
Yeah.
Carlota.
Sí, es lo mismo que le ha dicho un poco a Sergei, que si te has encontrado por el camino a gente que no te haya como dado empuje ni haya apostado por tu idea y te haya puesto como barreras.
Bueno, pero me pregunto como profesor.
Sí, como artista.
Sí,
Both.
all the time. With the coronavirus is difficult, a big difficulty, because not possible the concert, not possible not possible for people in the classroom, not possible too much money, too much people in the classroom, but all the time I am in the opposition with this, because for the small concert of student in the July to France, this is possible. No, first day of July, this is possible. The concert with 100 persons, example. But I think for my student, this day it is small theater, but all the people with the parents, with the student play. The next day of the concert, my director is, it's not possible to much people in your concert. But this is the afraid, the people afraid with the problem, afraid with the problem, the coronavirus, with the politics. It's complicated, and for me, when the artist, this is complicated because not possible. Have the theater for play. When I am an idea for the concert, this is the small concert for 10 persons in the theater. Not possible, not money for the big things with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's a situation, particular situation than in the world. But I think now the people need change the life. Because all the time, I think it's not possible. Not the concert, not theater, not. It's in adaptation. Was I think, or in the first moment of the show, I think adaptation. Now I speak with you. I am in Paris. I see you. You are in America. George, Carlota, and Sergei in Spain. George in America, this possibility is amazing. I think this is the beautiful things of the coronavirus, because this is not possible. An interesting thing. I am a director with a festival of music, Ars Docta, with Silvia. Now, last year, this is the first festival in internet. I think it is not possible. The people, the student, the teacher, not good. But when the first festival, the student, the people, the teacher of Lebanon, of Brazil, all the people work together for the music. This year, the big teacher in the star of the cello, Adam Liu, Asaf Korlestein, Marcela Rogeri in piano, Irene Amerio, Megan Dewar, singers, Ivana Esperanza singers, the very, very good stars in the music, in the festival, and this festival, internet festival, because it's impossibility the music. It's very interesting because not all the people have the possibility to go to America
Right.
for the festival. For play for Adam Liu. No, not possible. Not money is very expensive. But now in this festival and internet, it's possible for the student play for the star of cello, of piano, for not too much money. In this moment is possible for all the people. It's an inequality of the people because the possibility of internet is for all the people. I think this is the beautiful things, the human things, adaptation with the coronavirus. This is the beautiful moments with the people. It is interesting. You see, Mark, this year with the festival, I think the not with free, not money for the student of the ¿cómo se puede decir de clases de niños de que no tienen recursos?
Like kid with economic problems.
Well,
Gotcha.
in America, in Argentina, a program for the boys and the girls cannot match your situation economic is not good. Now this student go to the festival free. It is play for the big teacher. In the first time I not possible, not internet, but adaptation. The student in the small internet with the phone for play for the teacher. If for these pupils is very important because it's in change level in the music. Is change your vision of the music. It's very interesting.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's interesting for the internet. Not criticate never the internet in this for these things. For the concert, in this moment, I think not too much technology for the big streamings. It's so complicated, but it's possible now.
That makes sense. Hey, George, what about yourself? How do you deal with those people that are the naysayers, those people, because I know they've got them in South Africa, just like they've got them in Nigeria and in the United States, those people that are, when you told them you want to do pop music and you want to do religious music, they would probably look at you like, that's never going to fly here in South Africa. So how do you deal with those people that are not going to be encouraging to you? Because sometimes they even come out of our own families.
Yeah, no, that's true, Mark. You know, being an artist is never easy because most people, I don't know, they don't think music is a serious job. Up until that time, you start making money and stuff. Only then. Otherwise, I don't know. Especially and me myself, I'm a very what can I say? I'm a very creative person. I always come up with something new all the time. Sometimes I sing about God. Sometimes I sing about love. Sometimes I sing about even hate. Sometimes. But in a not in a negative kind of way, but as a life experience, you know. And every time the more creative you are, unfortunately, the more you get haters because you are doing something that they can't come up with most of the time. So they hate you, and then at the end of the day, they go and steal your ideas. Because as you heard my song, it's a very creative song. If you're creative like that, just expect to be around a lot of haters, unfortunately. But hey, what can you do? You must keep on producing and keep on creating great music. So that's how I do it, and keep on producing all the time. That's how I handle the haters.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sometimes that creativity can be the best way to get back at them, is to actually doing great music with what you got and all of that. To all of y'all, what is something that would surprise people as they learn about you that they may not have known about you, or that may surprise about the field in general? So I guess I'll start with Sergi. What is something that people have a stereotype about, or that they think that they know about piano tuners and inventors that you wish that they did not know, or that you wish that they had a better understanding of?
Yes. Carlota, I'm.
What's the stereotype that he would like countered of what people's views of piano tuners and inventors are? So a stereotype that he wished people did not have as much of.
But you're talking about like stereotypes, like how people imagine the piano tuners, for instance, like the stereotype or the artist or the musician.
Right, exactly.
Vale. Dice que si piensas que hay como un tipo de estereotipo, que vean como al músico o al artista o al afinador, que si crees que hay un tipo así, o sea, un estereotipo así, pero que realmente no se identifica con la realidad.
No sé qué decir, ¿sabes?
Sí, pienso que
como para los artistas, por ejemplo, como el estereotipo de un artista o de un músico que no se identifica con la realidad.
Sí. I think the people not think the artist is the person alive in the club all the time, not angry, not not money with in the Torre Eiffel. I am live to Paris now. The people say, Alexandra in Paris. Oh, this beautiful Tour Eiffel. Oh, Louvre Museum. But Alexandra, see Tour Eiffel in the lesson, in the concert with the rehearse. But the life in the artist is not their life. It's a wonderful life, I think. Wonderful. But I think with George, you think this artist is the normal person all the time, but the people think the artist, wow, is the home, wow, is eccentric person. Well, I see, Mark, I am an eccentric person. I have too much dogs. I love so much the pianos, the books, and the antiquities. In France, it is possible because I so much the beautiful things. Now, wow, Alexandra live in the museum. No, I live in the home with too much books only. It's amazing, but it's the stereotype of the person. The stars, the artists, not sleep in the night. Why? We sleep in the night. In the morning, the stars, the artists duermen. ¿Cómo se dice? Dormir.
Sleep.
The artists sleep all the morning. Not. The artist life. This is a stereotype. It's amazing. It's interesting to see the personality, the person, the normal person with the artist. It's amazing. Imagine than the imagination of the people. The artist. Chopin. This is a very, very gentleman, French gentleman. But Chopin not the oil, not drink oil, not drink coffee. This is in person with too much problem in her life with the pagar su alquiler, ¿cómo se diría, Carlota?
Pay the rent every month and the normal things normal people do.
Pay the rent with the apartment in Place Vendôme to Paris. Now, it's the life is for all the peoples. Now, I think the artist is the par in a par. El artista es una parte de la imaginación colectiva de belleza y de excentricidad, pero que no es así.
No,
the artist is a part of the collective intelligence, but it's not really like how we imagine.
Right, and it and I would like to hear what George's thoughts and maybe even Serge's as well. But I think what she was getting at was that there's this view of society that the artist is like this carefree lifestyle, and that they're up late doing work, and they're spending their time in the morning not doing anything but sleeping and all of that, so that they're having this carefree lifestyle, but they also have to pay their bills as well, so they have to like make money and survive. But a lot of times the general society has this attitude of the artist as being this carefree kind of lifestyle. I know that's a short version of what Alexandria just said, but I think that's the simple translation, if I heard her correctly. Right, Carletta?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your thoughts, George? Do you find that a lot of people feel that the artist is very carefree and they have this stereotype of the artist as not having a difficult life and that they also have to pay their bills? It's interesting that y'all brought that up because I know in some of my past shows, I've talked about how artists are also oftentimes asked to do things for free. And when they're asked to do things for free, we don't tell our doctors and our lawyers to do things for free when they come and service our houses or when we need their services, or the plumber or things like that. But we expect the artist to go and do it for free and not want to get some sort of reward for it. So I'm thinking that's another thing that we oftentimes fight against on even this program, because we like to make sure that people are given some sort of acknowledgement that art is a trade, it is a skill. So your thoughts, George, and then I'd love to hear Sergi's as well.
Yeah, Mark, what you just mentioned is a very valuable point, because we as artists, I don't think most people, they think they are doing a real job, really.
Right.
They think they can just get things from us for free, and this is real work for us. This is our food on the table, and most people don't take it that way. That's why we realize there's so much piracy. People, they just download stuff for free because they don't think it makes a lot to us. But all of us as artists, we know that it's very important that we need to make money out of our music so that we can be able to support our families. And then
No, I agree with you and everything. It looks like
what we are doing is very serious. And what the work we put in so that it becomes sound as great as it is, artists is people not. Yeah, and I mean,
right.
we still have a long way to go, because as artists we are struggling a lot. We put a lot of hard work, and then when it comes to us getting rewarded, it becomes a problem, unfortunately. As artists, that's the problem.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. And put in all that hard work, and sometimes you don't feel that you get the rewards that you need for it and everything.
We will help. Really. We take the time to educate them and be patient with them and make them aware that we really need their support.
Yep. No, I definitely agree with you on that and everything.
Even that's why, so that I don't feel the financial pitch too much. I don't feel the financial pitch.
I definitely agree with you. And that financial pinch, there's no joke about that. It's definitely been impacting a lot of us with that financial pinch and all of that. I'm glad that y'all were all able to come in. If folks are
because if you don't have something, a side hustle or something, that's reality.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with you. Definitely agree with you on that. I guess if folks who wanted to reach you, because we are getting ready to wind down, I've actually got to do one more audio podcast and actually help produce a Friends podcast later on. But I want to thank all of y'all for being on the show, because it's been a great conversation. But one of the things, there are two things that go on at the end. I wanted folks to know how they could find out and the website for the project. So if you can give the website, and I guess I'll give that to you, Carletta, if you can give the website for the project in case they want to learn more about what you're doing and how to get involved. I would love for you to do that, and all the social media for the project as well, since I know that social media is part of your responsibility and everything. And then I'm going to get the same thing from George. And then at the end, everybody, one of the things I do in all my shows is it is an international platform. So we have artists as well as fans that come from all over the world, all over the United States, and they're watching either now or in what we call team replay and everything. So we always try to give them, our audience and our interviewers and interviewees, a chance to give their words of encouragement, their words of positivity. So I'd love to hear y'all's words of positivity after you tell folks how they can reach you and learn more about the projects that y'all are involved in. So Carletta, if you'll tell them about this great music project, and I love the sound and I can't wait to hear even more of it. And do know that anytime y'all want to come back, I would love to have y'all as y'all are even developing the project and even as y'all are bringing it here to the United States, because I'm always glad to have people come back as often as they want to. And Sergi, like I said, I'm still in Carletta because she's a good interpreter, and I need a good interpreter on my show when I have international guests. Doesn't happen all that often, but when it does, I may be reaching out saying I need Carletta for my interpreter.
Yeah, it's been so nice to be here, and I think like because of the conversation we had, we really are agreed that society is changing, and I think like with Ako High we need to get out of town a little bit, like, and try to find a new way. So yeah, it's been very interesting, the conversation, having George as well, because he's another perspective and another kind of like artist and music that it will be so nice to work with, like in that realm. And yeah, we are working right now in our web, so you can find us in Musical Innovators. It's our web. It's a social cultural association. And in the part of projects, we have Acoustic Hybrid Piano, Ako Hype, and there you can find all the videos. And if you want to text us about whatever idea you want, or you want to organize concerts, we help you in that for sure. We are on social media as well, in Facebook and Instagram, Musical Innovators as well. And yeah, you can leave the links in case someone wants to check. And yeah, that's all.
Sounds good. Are y'all on Clubhouse as well? Because like I said, I just recently got on that about a month and a half ago, but I have seen a lot of musical innovators in that space. So have y'all got involved in Clubhouse yet? And if so, do y'all have any Clubhouse rooms?
Yeah, I can send you the link on the web so you can put directly.
Okay, cool. Definitely, I will do that. Definitely, we'll add that and everything. Alexandria, how can they find you and everything separate from the project? But how can they find you? And do you have any concerts coming up in your own home country? If somebody is watching, or if they want to travel to your country, do you have any shows coming up in your area? And when does school start back, or has it already started back academically?
Carlota, please. Carlota, ¿puedes traducirme?
Perdona, es que nosotros, I didn't listen to you, Mar, sorry.
No, that's no problem. I was asking her, does she have any concerts separate from Musical Innovators that are coming up in her home area? And is she already teaching? And if she's teaching, has school already started?
Okay. Pregunta que si tienes algún proyecto aparte de Musical Innovators y Ako Hip, y si estás enseñando o dando clases, que cómo pueden encontrarte.
But for internet, I have a website, Ars Docta International Music Festival. I am my website, and my name Alejandra Rodriguez Perroni for LinkedIn. And but my website is good for teaching, but for the concert too, for playing on the concert in the world. I play with Silvia. Now Silvia Games is cellist. Now I am long time ago play together. Now all the time, 20 years or 25 years play together. Now is I think for the 22 year 22 the CD together the of Brahms and Beethoven. With that the Ako Hype piece of David Lawrence, very very interesting. This is the project, and now the project come with teaching, come teacher, because I love so much my work of teacher, but I'm pianist. I am play the piano all the time and chamber music. This is my specialty. Now I play with Silvia this year. And another saxophonist into Argentina. Here, 2 crowns, 2 pianos. We with another pianist. It's very very. But now with the problem of COVID, it was not concert. I am see too much. I see no. I working too much with teacher for perfeccione no with teacher, but it's interesting. It's possible the new pedagogy for the student. You know, it's interesting. This is another moment in the life. 1 year for change. Okay. Alors, do you want to see me? Oh, I see. The Ars Docta International Music Festival. This is the name.
Cool.
Now I great. Now is you see it's possible for me. I great here. Is in the possibility for
Yep, definitely. Look forward to that. Looking forward
Great.
to.
I write in the
In the chat. Gotcha. I'll grab it from there so that people can see that as well, so they can check out your blog and all of that. So definitely I'll grab that so they can stream across as well. So I can do that as we're winding down the show. Carletta, I know most of your work is in social media and everything. So is there ways that folks can find you outside of this project if they're looking for help in the social media, or do you strictly do your work strictly for the company that you're working with, Sergi, or do you do it for others as well? And if so, how do folks reach you?
Well, like this is the first project I'm really working with in this round. So yeah, like if someone wants to contact, like in the web, like yeah, they can access there. And I did like social anthropology, so it's quite like a different thing. But
A new skill. We all have to have our new
Yeah, new
skills that go on in life as well. So definitely, I agree with that. Sergi, are there any outside of this great invention? Are there any projects that you have coming up that you would like to let folks know about as well? So know that folks would probably be interested in that also.
Thank you very much, Mark. We are looking for collaborators through the world. It's this project. We invited to this project piano tuners. It's interesting for every one of them because in the project we speak about special tuning. We speak about pianos all the time. It could be interesting for piano stores because we speak all the time about pianos, and it could be interesting for organizers as a special project to present it to find to ask fans, and for musicians it's interest as a new thing in piano music. Thank you so much for everyone. Mark, thank you. George, Carlota, Alejandra, Sylvia. I'm so happy to be with you here in online conversation.
Yep, I appreciate it. A great online conversation. Definitely enjoyed the conversation and enjoyed talking to both of you and everything. I was actually going to bring across Alexandria's website and everything, because I know that I had that one as well, which was the Doctor of International Music Festival, or at least that was one of the things that she was involved in. So that'll go across as well, so folks can see that. And then I'll also bring up the one with George. So George, tell folks about where they can find you. I know that you've got that blog, and I'm gonna have that blog stroll across as well. But tell folks where they can find the music and the musical name, as well as any of the social media handles, whether that's on Instagram, Spotify, or Reverb Nation, or a number of the other ones that are out there.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, thanks, Mark. No, if you want to hear more about my music, you'll find me on all the social networks, whether it's Facebook, Spotify. The name is one. It's D_Punkster. When you say D_Punkster, automatically you see my face. Whether you're on Facebook, you say D_Punkster, you see me there. Spotify, D_Punkster. Yeah, SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes is the same name, D_Punkster. And then
Gotcha.
on my blog is punkstermusic.wordpress.com.
Yep, that's what actually I've got rolling across there right now and everything. And like I said, I've got to take a slight break and then get ready to do my other podcast. But y'all have been some great guests. I want to thank all of y'all for coming on. And anytime that you want to come back on, I always love having guests come back on and share their wisdom and all of that. We didn't actually get to that word of advice. So actually, I don't think I can close it out till we do that. So I'll start with you, Carletta, and then we'll close it out with that. But as I said earlier, I always love closing my shows with words of positivity, words of encouragement for our global audience. So I'll start with you, Carletta, work to George, come to Sergi, and then go to Alexandria as the close before I say my closing words. But Carletta, any words of encouragement that you can give to our global audience?
Well, like I can say, like I just been in this project 1 year ago, and I saw like how hard it is to begin with it. Actually, it was very hard in the beginning, especially with the corona. But right now we're seeing the results. Like we're having this interview, for instance, and we are like people is like texting us and like interesting for our project. So I want to encourage people that follow like what they really love, because it's possible to do it.
That makes sense. George, what about yourself? What are some words of encouragement, words of positivity that you would like to share with our global audience?
Yeah, and what I would like to say to the global audience is that, this COVID-19, just like any other disease, I believe that we're gonna defeat it, and we're gonna put it where it's supposed to be, under control. And if you're an artist, or you wanna be, you wanna feature on the arts industry, just believe in yourself and make sure that you learn from the best, because you learn a lot from them. And yeah, and believe in your creativity. Don't let anyone discourage you or anything, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. So yeah, if you are a creative person, believe in your dream, let it grow, and get mentored, and you see yourself rising to the
That makes
highest
sense.
level.
Appreciate it.
And
So-
I really enjoyed myself, and I really had fun, and I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about you guys. I'm very happy.
Appreciate you, George.
Oh, yeah. Same here.
Sergi, what's some of the words of encouragement that you would like to live with our global audience as well? So any words of encouragement that you would like to leave with our global audience?
Palabras
Thank you so
para de
much.
alguna forma motivar a la gente y a la gente que nos está escuchando.
Yeah, thank you. Just ask me about if you have some questions. It will be a big pleasure to respond to you. It's happy moments with you. Thank you.
No problem. What about you, Alexandria?
Come up for me now.
Yeah, words of encouragement. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much in first moment for you, Mark. It's amazing your show. I love so much. I am very, very happy this night, because I am now you and George. I love this music, George. Amazing.
Oh, thanks.
Amazing. I want your music for listen in my home. Amazing. I listen to in Spotify. I love that. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, thanks, and keep
And now-
sharing. That means a lot.
Amazing. Now I think thank you very much for the time with me and Sergey and Carlota for the project. It's very, very important for my festival. It's very, very important for the music. Thank you. It's very, very es muy gentil de su parte. No sé cómo decirlo en
It's very
en
nice
inglés.
for your side.
Well, I definitely
Very, very
appreciate
nice.
y'all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No problem. I definitely appreciate it. As a matter of fact, I appreciated it so much that I think I'm going to go out with those two young ladies playing as I let y'all all fade into the background and all of that. So I think I'm going to go to that last one with the two ladies playing, and that'll be our last one going out. So as I add that to the stream and everything, and as Carletta runs it on her side, I think that'll be the one that we'll get out of here with and everything. But it was some great music, and that's how we're going to end it. So I appreciate y'all, and hopefully we'll have you come back in the very near future.
Tonight, the Gulf Coast braces for a major hurricane. Ida is expected to smash into the coast as a category. Category 4 hurricane tomorrow. Millions in the storm's path.
It's time to go. Your life is more important.
The desperate rush to evacuate, traffic snarling highways, flights canceled, the airport turning people away, and hospitals locking down. The U.S. strikes back. President Biden says the strike against ISIS isn't the last. And we now know the identity of the service members killed in the Kabul airport attacks. We'll hear from family members of the fallen. Thousands march across the country for voter rights nearly 60 years after the historic March on Washington. Flu season fears, with hospitals already overwhelmed, new warnings that this flu season could make the COVID pandemic even worse. What you and your family need to know. The price you pay. The housing market is already hot. Now, moving prices are hitting the roof. Tips to keep costs down. And you are smart enough and you are loved. The teacher giving her kids what we could all use just a little more of every day.
This is NBC Nightly News with Jose Diaz-Balart.
Good evening. The warnings could not be more dire. Louisiana's governor today said Hurricane Ida could be the strongest storm to hit the state since the 1800s. The National Weather Service predicting some areas could be uninhabitable for weeks or even months. The Category 2 hurricane is gaining speed as it moves through the Gulf, on target to make landfall as early as tomorrow afternoon as a catastrophic Category 4 hurricane, exactly 16 years after Katrina hit. At this hour, the desperate race to get out. Others trying to protect property against wind and life-threatening storm surge. It's a disaster compounded by COVID. Many hospitals already full. Patients and loved ones with nowhere to go. Our teams are across the region. We begin tonight with Morgan Chesky in Morgan City, Louisiana.
Tonight, 24 hours to landfall and Ida's impact clear. Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana all issuing states of emergency ahead of the potential Category 4 storm.
When it hits the Gulf and we feel like it's serious, it's time to go.
But the Big Easy, tough to get out of. Evacuation routes packed for miles. Mandatory for those living outside the levees. Lines stretching from the gas station to rental car counters, where customers waited for hours. The airport telling desperate travelers, please don't come here unless you have your travel confirmed.
Your window of time is closing. By the time you go to bed tonight, you need to be where you intend to ride the storm out.
When Ida makes landfall Sunday, it'll be 16 years to the day after Katrina. The storms similar in their path, but not size, making Katrina's storm surge so deadly.
We lost a lot of good people during Katrina, man. That was a hard storm. Hopefully this one isn't nearly as impactful.
President Biden acknowledging the storm's anniversary, deploying 500 FEMA personnel to Texas and Louisiana.
It's a stark reminder that we have to do everything we can to prepare the people in the region and make sure we're ready to respond.
Ida's path now on a crash course with Morgan City and Houma, Louisiana, where the Bro family feels stuck.
I tested positive 3 days ago.
With Father Tony's second shot days away, COVID leaving the family no choice but to stay home.
It's hard to get into hotels when they find out that somebody's COVID positive. Nobody wants it.
I'll be the first to tell you. You know, I got 2 kids that's going to be with me. This is going to be something that you probably never will experience again. It's going to be scary. Dad and Mom will be right here with you.
Morgan joins us now from Morgan City, Louisiana. Morgan, for those unable to leave, what conditions will they be facing in the next 24 hours?
Yeah, Jose, the blue sky sunshine here in Morgan City isn't going to be lasting much longer. By this time tomorrow, the hurricane's expected to make landfall, and the storm surge forecast for where I'm standing is 15 feet high. And when the entire city sits at 7 feet above sea level, the outlook isn't good. Jose?
Morgan Chesky, thank you. As Louisiana prepares for Ida, hospitals there and throughout the South are already packed with COVID patients and going into lockdown. Tom Llamas reports from New Orleans.
Tonight, NBC News taken inside one of New Orleans' busiest COVID ICUs. The state already swamped with nearly 3,000 hospitalized patients.
Does your head sometimes just spin thinking that we're dealing with a pandemic, another surge, and now a major hurricane?
Yes, it does. And last year we had a lot of cones of uncertainty where we thought hurricanes were coming, but this one looks like it's headed right for us. So, of course, that's really concerning.
The timing on this storm couldn't be worse. Hurricane Ida is about to collide with the fourth wave of COVID in New Orleans. ICUs like this one all across the city are at near capacity.
We waited just a little too long to get the vaccine.
62-year-old Deborah Alexander infected during this latest surge. She's been praying she beats COVID. Tonight, she's praying for New Orleans.
Nobody loses lives.
At the Oxford Medical Center, they are taking no chances, hoping emergency planning and new tools like these high water vehicles to evacuate patients help them survive the storm.
So how many patients can you fit in the back?
So seated, we could probably fit 15 to 20, and then laying down on a stretcher, probably close to 10 or 12.
Do you think you're gonna have to use this?
I hope not, but we're ready for if we do.
And Tom joins us now from New Orleans. Tom, with time running out, many hospitals are choosing not to evacuate patients now.
That's right, Jose. Here at Ochsner Health, they're only transporting high-risk patients in their coastal bayou hospitals. They've told all their patients they're going to keep them safe before and after the storm. I'm told they have a 10-day supply of food and medicine. Jose?
Tom Llamas in New Orleans, thank you. Once Ida hits, it's expected to linger, and that has forecasters concerned about the potential for massive rainfall and deadly flooding. Sam Brock is in Port Vincent, Louisiana. Sam, good evening. What are officials telling you about the threat?
Jose, good evening. Their hope and expectation is that it's a quick-moving storm, because if it's not, we've seen the potential for what can happen. I am standing next to the Amite River, which runs throughout Baton Rouge here. In 2016, it got to 46 feet in one section, to the point, Jose, right here, where it hit the top of that roof of the bar next to me. That was after about 30 inches of rain in several days. Here, they're expecting somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 16 inches of rain, but the potential always exists for more. And Jose, if you want to try to get out of town right now on Interstate 10, which is the main thread through the area, it is congested. All flights tomorrow are largely canceled, except for a couple in the morning. It's time to find a safe space. Jose?
Sam Brock in Port Vincent, Louisiana, thank you. The hours ahead are critical. Al Roker is in New Orleans with the latest on the storm's track. Al, where's it headed?
Well, right now, Jose, the latest track brings it right toward us. We are on Lake Pontchartrain, and you can see we are already looking at a Category 2 storm, 105-mile-per-hour winds moving northwest at 16 miles per hour. This storm system is going to be going over very warm Gulf waters, so we expect rapid intensification to continue. In fact, by Sunday afternoon, it could be a Category 4 storm with 130-mile-per-hour winds, continuing to move up and on inland as we move on into Monday afternoon, but slowing down. We do have right now storm surge forecasts up to 15 feet along the Louisiana coast, and rainfall amounts, Jose, upwards of 20 inches of rain. And of course, you know, we're going to continue to track this all night long. Jose?
Al Roker in New Orleans, thank you. Now to the latest developments in Afghanistan and President Biden's new warning that another ISIS attack could happen there as soon as tomorrow. Ali Vitali has late details.
President Joe Biden warning that another terror attack in Afghanistan is imminent. The president, in a statement Saturday, echoing warnings given to him by top U.S. commanders that an attack is highly likely in the next 24 to 36 hours. But they assured him they have all the authorities, resources, and plans to protect our men and women on the ground. This after making good on his earlier promise for revenge.
We will hunt you down and make you pay.
A U.S. drone strike killed 2 high-profile ISIS-K members and wounded 1 other, according to the Pentagon, who described them as planners and facilitators of possible future attacks.
The fact that 2 of these individuals are no longer walking on the face of the earth, that's a good thing.
Mr. Biden vowing today this strike was not the last. But defense officials were tight-lipped on if these targets were involved in Thursday's attack at the Kabul airport, and guarded about the strike's specific impact on ISIS-K capabilities.
We aren't thinking for a minute that what happened yesterday gets us in the clear. Not a minute.
The U.S. didn't alert any other countries to the strike beforehand, including the Taliban. The Taliban condemning the U.S. attack, calling it a direct violation of the sovereignty of our country. Meanwhile, U.S. forces hustling to evacuate personnel, with the August 31st deadline less than 60 hours away. So far, more than 100,000 people have been evacuated, among them 5,400 American citizens. The evacuation now evolving to include U.S. troops and equipment.
There is equipment leaving on those flights too that was originally planned.
A sign that the mission is nearing its close.
And Ali joins us from the White House. Ali, the Pentagon today confirming the identities of the American soldiers killed in that horrible bombing on Thursday.
That's right, Jose. The Pentagon officially released the names of all 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives in Kabul Thursday. We also learned today that their remains are on the way back to the United States. Jose?
Ali Vitali at the White House, thank you. Up next, marking a movement, a nationwide push for fair voting rights. Also, the new flu fears, why doctors are so worried about this season and how you can protect your family. There are new nationwide calls for fair voting rights tonight as more states consider legislation that some say could restrict voter access. Today's marches also had another important meaning for the thousands demanding change. Kathy Park reports.
Tonight, marches across America demanding protections for voting rights.
We need to be here and let our governments know that we truly believe in the voting rights for all.
But ways to keep poor people from voting, to keep black and brown people from voting, to keep disabled people from voting. And if you fall into any of those categories, you need to be out here and doing whatever it takes.
In our nation's capital, a show of force with activists and civil rights leaders pressuring Congress to pass legislation that would protect elections and voters at the federal level.
We must remain engaged to create the accountability, the political power that leads to change.
That message landing on the 58th anniversary of the March on Washington, when Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech.
I have a dream.
Today's organizers say 48 states have introduced nearly 400 bills this year, amounting to voter suppression. In Texas, Republican House members just approved a bill banning drive-through polling places and 24-hour voting. Democrats said the legislation would disproportionately affect people of color. The political battles over the right to vote, a reality then and now. Kathy Park, NBC News, New York.
Turning to a new health warning tonight, with COVID hospitalizations above 100,000, fears the flu will make this winter even worse. Dr. John Torres explains.
As the Delta variant continues to ravage the nation, experts are sounding the alarm this flu season.
Should we be concerned about a potential twindemic?
I am very concerned. If we have COVID circulating at high rates and also influenza circulating, that could really strain our hospital capacity.
2020 was the mildest flu season on record, with just 1,675 cases between the months of September and May, largely due to widespread mask wearing and social distancing. But as students return to in-person learning and states relax restrictions, doctors fear flu cases could be up.
A normal flu season looks like millions of cases with 10 to 60,000 deaths every year in the United States.
Stella Sung isn't leaving anything to chance. She says her entire family will be getting flu shots.
I'm always concerned about the flu season, and I'm probably more concerned about COVID. We always get our flu shots. This year, we are planning for kind of the end of October.
Pharmacies nationwide are ready.
Pharmacy team members may administer both the flu shot and the COVID-19 vaccine during the same appointment.
Besides getting your flu shot, experts say masking up and good hygiene could help keep the twindemic at bay. If you get sick, stay home and
get a diagnostic test so we know what illness we have and make sure that we can get on the right treatment so we're not putting other people at risk.
Lessons learned during the pandemic that could help keep us safe this flu season. Dr. John Torres, NBC News.
We're now learning more about the U.S. service members killed in this week's deadly terror attack in Kabul. They made the ultimate sacrifice. Their loved ones say they will never be forgotten. Here's Matt Bradley.
To his friends and family, Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover was a giant. And not just because he towered over all of them.
What was he like?
Rambunctious little kid. He started Little League football at the age of 8 and didn't stop until his senior year in high school.
According to his father, Taylor lived larger than life. Taylor's name was among the 13 the Pentagon announced today, American servicemen killed in Thursday's suicide bombing outside Kabul airport. It was Taylor's 3rd tour of duty there during his 11 years as a Marine.
It's going to be hard to go on without him, but we know that he died doing exactly what he wanted to do. He went out his way.
At least 169 others lost their lives, according to the Associated Press. Hundreds more were wounded. 22-year-old Maxton Soviak, a Navy corpsman whose sister Marilyn penned an Instagram elegy. My beautiful, intelligent, beat to the sound of his own drum, annoying, charming baby brother was killed yesterday, helping to save lives, she wrote. He was just a kid. Most of them were just kids. 23-year-old Lance Corporal Riley McCullum died while expecting a kid of his own. 5 of the 13 killed were only 20 years old. Barely born when the 9/11 terror attacks sent their country to war and forged a fresh generation of American warriors.
Let that be his legacy, that he brought more into the services because of his sacrifice.
They gave their lives to help others escape with their own. Matt Bradley, NBC News.
Heroes all. We'll be right back. Prices for homes have soared in recent months, and now so has the cost to move. Here's Stephanie Rule.
Across the country, people are moving at a record pace. Nearly 19 million filed a change of address with the USPS so far this year. Almost 500,000 more than 2019. A boon for companies like Blue Whale Moving in Austin, Texas, where there's been little relief from the hot housing market.
Demand for our services has been through the roof and consistent throughout the year in a way that's very atypical. We're seeing a lot of people come here from elsewhere in Texas, from elsewhere in the country, just constant influx of people.
Record home sales have driven the price of moving up across the country. According to Angie, local in-state moves have almost doubled in cost since before the pandemic, from about $1,200 to over $2,200 per move. Cross-country moves are up too.
Nearly doubling in 1 year is truly a record breaker for recent history.
Another reason for the drive in costs, the way people are moving is changing due to the pandemic.
We're seeing less apartment to apartment move and more folks leaving urban areas and moving to suburban or even rural areas as work from home has gotten more flexible.
And it's not just the supply and demand. Raw materials are more costly too. Cardboard is up nearly 10% since pre-pandemic. Adhesives and plastics, including tape, are up 5%, thanks to those southern winter storms. Not to mention increased costs for gas and trucks too. For Blue Whale, finding workers impacts costs as well.
Our staffing costs are up, both in terms of what we spend to find and attract excellent employees, but also in terms of what are we actually paying.
How are these increased costs impacting your bottom line? Because at the same time, you've got huge demand for your services.
We have had to increase our prices to our clients as well to offset our costs.
If you are moving house, get a true inventory of your stuff before you get a quote for accurate pricing. If you can, try to pack on your own. Book an off-peak time like a weekday for a better deal. And don't expect these costs to cool down until the market does. Stephanie Rule, NBC News.
And still to come, the teacher giving her students lessons in love. There's good news tonight about bringing out the best in people by teaching others just how much they matter.
This is how fourth graders at Kindesi Charter School in Atlanta start their day.
I am intelligent, smart, beautiful woman. Ooh.
With a mirror and a positive message.
I am a good person.
These moments posted on social media earlier this month, now inspiring others.
I am smart.
The affirmations are part of a daily routine started by teacher Nefertiria Acker.
What is it that made you start having your students say affirmations?
I've been doing this for a few years now, and I've seen just
a tremendous change. Makes me feel proud. I thought, why not give it a try?
Guys, shine yourself.
She brought the practice into her classroom after seeing the impact it had on her 5-year-old daughter, Skylar.
I just saw her confidence, her self-value, her self-worth really just skyrocket.
Y'all ready?
Her idea took off,
It's your time to shine.
bringing positivity to students who may not always see it.
I get emotional because some of them don't know that they matter. They don't know that they are loved. And I just want them to know that you matter. You are loved.
For 9-year-old Rochelle Blakely,
I say I am respectful. I show empathy to everybody, and I love myself.
these words came on a life-changing day when she became part of a new family.
What was it like when that moment that Rochelle said her affirmations?
When she said the affirmations, I am cared for, I am loved. She says, I'm getting adopted today.
Affirming her joy, and now with dreams of her own.
I want to teach 4th grade.
Rochelle is inspired by strong people. And for her to say she wants to be a 4th grade school teacher shows me that she's very inspired by her teacher.
I am enough.
I am enough.
Miss Acker teaching them courage and confidence.
Watching them speak these positive things about themselves, it is the most rewarding thing to experience in my career. I may be planting the seed, but they are watering it and turning it into a beautiful rose garden.
Ms. Acker encourages everyone to find something good to say about themselves every day. That's NBC Nightly News for this Saturday. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and good night.
I am smart.
That part, go.
I am a good person.
Love it.
I am
Louder.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.
I'd like to call this hearing to order. I'd like to welcome our witnesses today. Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coates. Director of Central Intelligence Agency, Gina Haspel. Director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, General Robert Ashley. Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Chris Wray. Director of the National Security Agency, General Paul Nakasone. And Director of National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, Robert Cardillo. I thank all of you for being here this morning. I'd also like to welcome the committee's two newest members who, in typical Senate fashion, are not here yet. Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska and Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado. They're both great additions, and I look forward to working with them and with you to fulfill the committee's critical oversight mandates. Before I go to my formal remarks, I want to extend my condolences of this committee to General Ashley and his workforce at the Defense Intelligence Agency, as well as General Nakasone and his workforce at NSA. On January 16th, a DIA employee and a Naval Chief Cryptology technician were killed in northern Syria alongside two other Americans. This is a stark and sobering reminder of the dangerous work that the men and women of the intelligence community do around the world on behalf of the country every single day, often with no public acknowledgement. We thank you for your leadership of this community and, more importantly, for what your officers do and the sacrifices they make on behalf of our nation. This committee's met in open forum to discuss the security threats facing the United States since 1995. The nature, scale, and scope of those threats have evolved greatly over the last 25 years. Hostile nation states, terrorist organizations, malign cyber actors, and even infectious disease and natural disasters at different times have been the focus of the intelligence community's efforts. Our intelligence officers have repeatedly proven themselves equal to the task of refocusing, reconfiguring, and relearning the business of intelligence to keep pace with a threat landscape that's never static. When this nation was attacked on September the 11th, counterterrorism rightly became our nation's security focus. And the intelligence community responded by shifting resources and attention. We learned the ways of our new enemy, and we learned how to defeat it. We're now living in yet another new age, a time characterized by hybrid warfare, weaponized disinformation, all occurring within the context of a world producing more data than mankind has ever seen. Tomorrow, it's going to be deep fakes, artificial intelligence, a 5G-enabled Internet of Things with billions of internet connections on consumer devices. What I hope to get out of this morning is a sense of how well prepared the intelligence community is to take on this new generation of technologically advanced security threats. Countering these threats requires making information available to those who can act, and doing so with speed and agility. Sometimes the key actors will be the federal government. Other times it will be a city. Many times it will be a social media company or a startup or a biotech firm. I see a world where greater collaboration between government and the private sector is necessary while still protecting sensitive sources and methods. We have to share what we can, trust who we can, and collaborate because we must. The objective of our enemies has not changed. They want to see the United States weakened, if not destroyed. They want to see us abandon our friends and our allies. They want to see us lessen our global presence. They want to see us squabble and divide. But their tools are different. I don't need to remind anyone in the room, when this country's democracy was attacked in 2016, it wasn't with a bomb or a missile or a plane. It was with social media accounts that any 13-year-old can establish for free. The enemies of this country aren't going to take us on a straight-up fight because they know they'd lose. They're going to keep finding new ways of attacking us, ways that exploit the openness of our society and slip through the seams of a national security architecture designed for the Cold War. What this means is that we can't afford to get complacent. We can't find comfort in being good at doing the same things that we've been doing for 50 years. Those who would seek to harm this nation are creative, adaptive, and resolute. They're creating a new battlefield, and we've been playing catch up. Defeating them demands that we, as members of your oversight committee, make sure you have the resources and the authority you need to win. Director Coates, I'd appreciate your perspective on how to best strike the balance between satisfying existing intelligence requirements and preparing the IC to take on the technological challenge of the future. I'd like to recognize that this will be Director Cardilla's last appearance before the committee. Robert, since 2014, you've served as the consummate ambassador for NGA, and this committee thanks you for your more than 35 years of honorable service to NGA, the intelligence community, and more importantly, to the country. I'll close here because we have a lot of ground to cover today, but I want to thank you again, and more importantly, your officers, for the selfless sacrifices that help keep this nation safe. Yours is an exceptional mission in that so few will ever truly know how much you do in the service of so many. Before turning to the distinguished Vice Chairman, I'd like to highlight for my colleagues that the committee will be convening again at 1 p.m. this afternoon, promptly, for the afternoon for a classified continuation of this hearing. Please reserve any questions that delve into classified matters until then, and don't take it offensive if our witnesses find the need to delay their answers to questions that might be on the fringe for the closed session. With that, I turn to the Vice Chairman.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And let me also welcome our witnesses. Let me extend my condolences as well for our loss. Let me also echo what the chairman has said, Robert, about your service, your leadership at NGA, your willingness to always push, and your recognition that in many ways we need to change our models and how we make sure we use better use of our commercial and other partners. Today's open hearing comes at an important time for our nation and the world. As I look over the witnesses' statements for the record, I'm struck by the multiplicity of threats our nation continues to face. From new threats like cyber and online influence to those that we're more familiar with, like terrorism, extremism, proliferation of WMD, and rogue actors like Iran, North Korea, and regional instability. We've also seen and see on a regular basis, daily basis with some of the news yesterday, an increasingly adversarial stance of major powers like Russia and China. At the forefront of our nation's defenses against these threats stand professional men and women of the Intelligence Committee whom you represent. It is, I believe, unconscionable that some of these men and women, and in particular the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, State Department, and others, were forced to work without pay for 5 weeks because of the government shutdown. This is no way to run a country. We count on the intelligence and law enforcement professionals to protect us. We cannot ask them to do so with no pay and facing threats of eviction or losing their health insurance. The method of running government via shutdown, brinkmanship must come to an end. The myriad threats we faced must also be faced in tandem with our allies and partners around the world. As former Secretary of Defense Mattis wrote in his resignation letter, quote, "While the U.S. remains the indispensable nation in the free world, we cannot protect our interest or serve the role effectively without maintaining strong alliances and showing respect to those allies," unquote. I think that is a lesson we all need to take to heart. Of the multiple threats we face, I would highlight two that I hope we can especially dive into. First, Russia's use of social media to amplify divisions in our society and to influence our democratic process. This is an area that I know was highlighted in our worldwide threat hearing last year, and the concern that we and the IC that Russia would continue its malign activities to try to influence the 2018 elections. While we did see Russia continue to try to divide Americans on social media, and we saw cyber activities by unknown actors targeting our election infrastructure in 2018, the good news is, and particularly General Nakasone, I commend you, I think we did a much better job. The question, though, is how do we prepare ourselves for 2020? How do we make sure that we're fully organized? What is the IC's role in fighting this disinformation threat? And how can we build upon public-private partnerships with online social media companies in a way that works for both sides? This is a problem, as the chairman's mentioned, with the question around deep fakes and other areas that technology is only going to make more difficult. The second issue I'd hope that you would all address today is the threat from China, particularly in the field of technology. I think we all saw the Justice Department announcement yesterday about Huawei. I have to say, as a former entrepreneur and venture capitalist, I long held the view that an economically advanced China would eventually become a responsible global citizen that would join the World Trade Organization and whose system would ultimately be liberalized by market-based economies. Unfortunately, what we've seen, particularly in the last 2 or 3 years, is the opposite. With the consolidation of power by the Communist Chinese Party and with President Xi emphasizing nationalistic tendencies and an aggressive posture towards those nations on China's periphery, and an economic policy that seeks by hook or by crook to catch up and to surpass the United States economically, especially in the areas of technology like AI, machine learning, biotech, 5G, and other related areas. Especially concerning have been the efforts of big Chinese tech companies, which are beholden to the Communist Chinese Party, to acquire sensitive technology, replicate it, and undermine the market share of U.S. firms with the help of the Chinese state. I want to thank DNI Director Coates and FBI Director Wray, as well as DHS, for working with the committee to take seriously the threat from China's whole of society approach to technology acquisition and to jointly reach out to our business community with whom we must work in partnership to begin to address these issues. Unfortunately, we've still got a long way to go. And while Director Coates, particularly we've been on some of these road shows together with the chairman, I think we need much more of those going forward. I want to ensure that the IC is tracking the direction of China's tech giants and to make sure that we counter those efforts, particularly as so many of them are beholden to the Chinese government. The truth is, this is a challenge that will only continue to grow. I also, in closing, want to thank not only you, but all the men and women who stand behind your organizations, who work day in and day out to keep our nation safe. I look forward to this public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
I thank the Vice Chairman. Before I recognize Director Coates for his testimony, let me say to our witnesses, a number of the members of this committee have competing committees meeting right now on very important things. So members are going to be in and out. Please don't take that as a sign of any disinterest in your testimony or your answers, but there are a lot of things going on the Hill today that are priorities from a standpoint of legislative activity. Director Coates, it's my understanding you're going to give one opening statement for the entire group, and then we'll move to questions.
Yes, sir.
The floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the committee, we are here today, and I'm here today with these exceptional people who I have the privilege to work with. We are a team that works together in making sure that we can do everything we possibly can to bring the intelligence necessary to our policymakers, to this committee and others, relative to what decisions they might have to make given this ever-changing world that we're facing right now. During my tenure as DNI, now 2 years in, I have told our workforce over and over that our mission was to seek the truth and speak the truth. And we work to enhance, to agree with and enforce that mission on a daily basis. I want our people to get up in the morning to work to think that this is what our job is. Despite the swirl of politics that swirls around not only the Capitol, but the world, our mission is to keep our heads down, our focus on the mission that we have to achieve in order to keep American people safe and our policymakers aware of what's happening. So truly, the efforts of people sitting here at this table and all their employees and all of our components is not really public for the release for the public to know about. But we continue to value our relationship with this committee in terms of how we share information, how we respond to your legitimate questions that you bring to us and tasks for us, and we value very much the relationship that we have with this committee. My goal today is to responsibly convey to you and the American people in this unclassified hearing the true nature of the current environment. And in the interest of time, I'd also like to refer you to my statement for the record for a more complete threat picture. As I stated in my recent remarks during the release of the National Intelligence Strategy, we face significant changes in the domestic and global environment that have resulted in an increasingly complex and uncertain world. And we must be ready. We must be ready to meet 21st century challenges and recognize the emerging threats. The composition of the current threats we face is a toxic mix of strategic competitors, regional powers, weak or failed states, and non-state actors using a variety of tools in overt and subtle ways to achieve their goals. The scale and scope of the various threats facing the United States and our immediate interests worldwide is likely to further intensify this year. It is increasingly a challenge to prioritize which threats are of greatest importance. I first would like to mention election security. This